Russ Clark with you on a beautiful Friday morning. Good morning. Mortgage One Studios here, which still not on broadcast. As far as over the airwaves, 560. But this weekend, I know we're going to spend a little time in the office here, setting up a new, a different table, different setup, a little bit inside, and so they can start putting the equipment, the equipment in because the FCC. It looks like things are going through. The final completion is being done. It's not totally done yet. I mean, there's just a few leases now, but the FCC is not in the way. They've signed off, so maybe this month we'll be up. Depends on how fast the equipment gets hooked up and the lease is signed and all that. Leases for, I guess, tower space and I don't know how the negotiations go for the rest of the 24 hours. It's going to be a 24-hour station, so there's a lot of other broadcast that goes on, and there's other organizations that handle that help in that endeavor and getting whoever's going to be on, whether it's a Bongino type thing or Hannity. I think a lot of the same lineup is being discussed. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of changes. Other than the news portion of it, it was always Fox News. I don't know exactly where that's going to go. We may take some more of that in house and make more local news and local programming. And we'll see where that goes, where that evolves. I mean, we'll start off obviously with me on, obviously. With my show will continue. And hopefully there'll be others added and stuff like that. As far as disclaimer goes, all content presented on the Russ Clark Show, including in statements made by guests, commentators, and callers, reflect the personal opinions of those individuals and is provided for informational and entertainment purposes only. These views do not represent the official positions of Mortgage One Studios, its owners, employees, affiliates, or partners. Mortgage One Studio does not endorse, verify, or guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements made by third parties during programming. That being said, the phone lines are open 928-941-0304. No guest today. Let me double check. I don't think there's a call in. There is not. Call in today. It says that my calendar says I have a pending task. Unfortunately, I didn't type out what that task was, which is going to be trouble. We'll figure it out. I had a rough start of the day today. May not mean much to you, but got up on time. All that happened. Slept good. Something I just installed in the house. I don't know if it had any help at all last night, but the my house went through a white mold type deal, which I handled personally on a lot of stuff with some professional help. That took all the carpet, retiled, did a lot of stuff. Did not do the kitchen area. Found out we have some in the kitchen that we didn't know. So I'll be doing, I'm going to replace that flooring also. It's tile. I mean, it's tile, linoleum on top of tile, and there potentially could be something underneath because previous occupants just didn't clean things up. When they discovered there was a problem, they discovered it. They remodeled a little bit and stuff, but remodeled right over it, unfortunately. But it's easily taken care of. But anyway, in the meantime, there's still times where I feel lethargic, that, I show symptoms of possibly, you look at artificial intelligence and stuff, symptoms of maybe having some mold stuff in the house. Now, again, this isn't black mold, which that is actually, dangerous. That's poisonous, that stuff. Can be. The white mold is more common and still can cause issues. And anybody that would be most affected would be Helen. Helen, my wife, is home all the time, or most of the time. She doesn't have a scheduled employment. She does some volunteer work and some stuff. I think she'd just be more susceptible just being female. I think more more aware of that kind of stuff. But it's been, off and on, just little things, and just coughing or sneezing or having a headache, just feeling lethargic like I have been at times. So I got an air purifier, uh, you know, uh, one of those, that's supposed to take out all that hair, dandruff, whatever is in the air. If you have allergic to dogs or whatever, and moles and stuff like that, it'll take it's a HEPA filter. And we put it in. I put it in the house yesterday. I ordered it and got it in yesterday afternoon. Put it in the house in the afternoon. In the bedroom, it's big enough to do the whole house, but we had it stationed in the bedroom, which the bedroom's pretty clean. I mean, the carpet's gone, everything's gone, it's all been cleaned up. But that doesn't mean there isn't something somewhere that's getting in there. And I'll tell you, I slept better till last night. I don't know why. Maybe that's anecdotal. Maybe it's coincidence. I don't know. But it was helpful. I don't know why. I mean, it was known to me that filters existed. I don't know why we didn't think of that early on, but we didn't. But we did now, and I think it'll make a difference. Emotionally, it's already there. Already emotionally made a difference. Donald Trump is still working on getting an attorney general. We have an acting attorney general, one he's very happy with, and that's Tom Blanche. Tom Blanche has been acting since Pam Bondi left, and there's a limitation on that for how long you can have an acting attorney general. So it needs to get confirmation through the Senate, which shouldn't be a problem because we have the majority in the Senate, and now the rules are a simple majority would be able to confirm an acting attorney general into a real attorney general, permanent. Not that simple because there's some senators in the that just don't like Trump. Uh, that's my interpretation of everything I've read. They really don't like Trump. Um, John Cornyn, Tom Tillis, of course, very well known for not liking Trump. They're on their way out. This is their last hurrah. Trump did not endorse them, endorse their opponents. So this is payback. Payback, I think, is to hurt the country to get to Trump, which it is so not logical, not helpful, but it's what we're living with. Um, remember he backed Attorney General Ken Paxton in Tampa for senator instead of Cornyn. So Senator Cornyn is on his way out. He's angry, and he's not gonna support Tom Blanche. Trump said Tom Blanche is a star, and he's still in the Senate and until January. Um, State Judiciary Chair Senate Judiciary Chair Chuck Grassley, I know too. The resistance his demands caused the chair to postpone Blanche's confirmation hearing scheduled Thursday morning without their support. He wouldn't be able to make the Senate floor. Negotiations still underway, but I read where they might do it today, if I can find that. Again, I'm way behind where I normally sit down for quite a few hours in the morning. I didn't have that luxury today, working a little bit behind. But I know Murkowski has said she will not support him at all. And of course, she has her own Trump derangement syndrome. And Trump has not been bashful about calling her out as one of the worst things that ever happened to Alaska. I don't know how helpful that is at times, but well, I don't seem to have that at my fingertips. But Murkowski has flat out said that she won't do it. And of course, we got Mitch McConnell, which I read in the article, which I still can't find in front of me. I read in the article this morning that Mitch McConnell's out of the hospital, that he's supposed to be at home right now. That does not allow him to vote. We don't have absentee voting that goes on at all. We have you have to be in your seat. Let's talk to Mad Mike. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
So I have my usual dilemma in and out of the car.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I missed the first couple minutes, even though I had you streaming in the car. I was walking up to a door.
Okay.
Do you have an official start date?
We do not have an official start date, but
Okay.
things are looking like later this month, early September, because some of the unmovable roadblocks are gone. Now it's just a matter of equipment and a
Sure.
couple leases to sign and getting everything set up. So that could just take us a few weeks, and we should be up and rolling.
So you got past the heavy lifting
Yeah.
government.
Yes,
Nice.
the FCC has given its blessing.
Cool. And you said 24 hours, huh? That'll be cool. Glad to have you back on the radio again, or have everything back on the radio.
Well, I think
again.
the station really enjoyed Brian Kilmeade. I know a lot of people make fun of him. No, he's a great guy. Great. Never met him, but I like what he's doing. Here, I found my Lisa Mikowski thing on her not supporting Blanche, and Blanche has spent a lot of time going there. Murkowski said the politicization, even weaponization of the department did not start with this administration, but has accelerated during it. I take issue with the handling of the release of the Epstein files, the sweeping immunity protections granted to the president, his family, and their businesses, the statements that have been made to anti-abortion groups, and the repeated targeting of individuals ranging from former administration staff to sitting U.S. senators, which I'd like to go through some of that list and figure out who she's talking about and what. But let me take the phone call. Mad, you're back.
Oh, boy. I'm not the mad.
So the wife's okay and everything.
What?
The wife's okay.
Oh, yeah, she's okay.
All right.
But I'm not going to be when she gets home.
Oh, no.
You can relate to this, I'm sure, having been married once or twice yourself.
Yeah.
I decided to take the Prius today instead of the Highlander because I had to go all the way out to Home Depot. From Home Depot, I was going out to Avenue C. I could see on the map. And it was just little things, tools and paint and, little stuff from Home Depot. And I knew she worked at 6:30, but I figured, I'm accepting this order a few minutes before 5. I'll be back by 6. No problem, right?
Are you back?
Heck no, I'm still not back, buddy. I'm just passing. I'm going down 3E. And I left her car key, but
She doesn't want to drive the other vehicle.
No, she's fine in the other car. She's already at her work.
Okay.
But what I didn't think about, she likes to arrive a little early and finish putting on her makeup in the parking lot.
Of course.
And, make sure she's there early and doesn't encounter traffic or flat tire and all her makeup sitting on the seat next to me.
Very common. Very common. Yeah. Yeah. She's just normal. That's all.
Yeah, life goes on when you're married. But she gave me a honeydew to make up for it.
Okay, good.
I offered flowers, but she said F the flowers. Make a run to the dump in the pickup because we have, the 2 Toyotas and a Nissan Frontier. So she said, make a run to the dump before you or after you drop my daughter off at school. So I'll be forgiven.
You got to go get rid of some garbage. Thank you for running to the dump and not dumping it out in the wilderness.
Very, very entertaining. He's a former Marine. I guess once a Marine, you're always a Marine, right? But he is very entertaining and he'd fit right in. In fact, sometimes I used to hear during the day his ads.
Uh-huh.
So Jesse Kelly, look into him.
Uh-huh.
He's not as big as some of the other big names, but you know Clay and Buck, right?
No.
Buck Sexton used to have the slot that Jesse Kelly's in now before Rush passed and he got together with Clay.
Oh, okay.
And very good. In fact, they're on each other's shows quite often. I'll send you.
Yeah.
Well, no, you can look. You can look
I
them
can
up.
look
You
them
got
up. I
plenty
got
of
it.
spare time. I mean,
I got
I
artificial
came by to
intelligence.
see. Yeah, I came by to see you the other day
That's
at
right.
11:30, and they told me, no, he's already gone.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's because they're rude.
You keep office hours like a lawyer.
Well, I bill like one too. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. Stuff I never did.
All right.
Yeah. God, thank you,
All
buddy.
right. And one last thing,
Uh-huh.
I have an idea for maybe a call-in show on the weekends.
Okay.
Or the mechanic, I took his slot for the sales, and he did both mechanic work and sales, and I think we could put on a very entertaining, good show for call-in about cars, trucks, and tires. He runs the tire shop.
Yeah.
Just open up for them, and he does lifted trucks. He does different things, but people call in with mechanical type questions.
Yeah, we're kind of looking into that too. Of course, I have Chris that does all that,
Yes, I know.
all that more. But he's expressed some interest. We'll see, though. I don't know if he really wants to do that.
Right.
Yeah,
If not, keep us in mind.
I will. Thank you, sir. All right.
All right, I'm going back to listening and driving.
Do it. Yeah, we've talked about getting Chris on here. And he's actually one of the better diagnosis guys that I know. To figure stuff out. He does a great job. Been around for a while. I hired him when he was a teenager, years ago, 17. Yeah, he was hit strong then, and but he knows a lot more now. Actually, he's been a lot of classes, a lot of stuff, a lot of certifications. Everything. Everything on regular cars, but then diesels too. Air conditioning. I have 4 air conditioning machines. It's just that necessary because, particularly when it gets hot like this, things fail. If it's hot, it's going to put extra stress on a system that's already weakened. Yeah, you're going to notice it. Yeah, something's going to happen. So sometimes we'll have 2 or 3 of those things going at a time, and then we always need backups because they break too. The air conditioning systems break. The repair systems. And if and we get a lot of old timers like my age, have an air conditioner that's getting weak, not working right, and they go buy a can of Freon and just figure out bump some into the system and it'll make it strong again. New systems are so sensitive to overcharging and undercharging that we get a lot of those in where somebody's got way too much, not enough. You can't guess it. You could do damage, probably, but it doesn't work very well. I'm surprised they still sell that stuff. People still try it. And on older systems, it used to work. It used to be a lot sloppier. It took a lot more, and it wasn't that sensitive. They're different now. They're very different. Murkowski, I found it. Where she talks about the politicization and everything. She says, I'm also keenly aware of the department's nearly $2 billion slush fund, which likely would have rewarded January 6 protesters. And what she's talking about is that fund that Trump wanted to set up for people that were subject to lawfare, which he should know. He was subject to a lot of it, where they made up laws just to go after him. And J6ers who got arrested for doing nothing. There were J6ers that never even entered the building that got arrested just for being on the proximity. I really wish J6 would get honestly looked at and opened, and if there's somebody who broke the law, go after it versus the terrible thing that Nancy Pelosi did with a couple of former Republicans. Let's talk to Sandy this morning. Good morning, Sandy.
Hey, good morning. Now, it could be on my end or through the airways, but when I'm listening to the show and I've shut my phone down twice because that's the only way I can hear you,
Yeah.
and brought it back up, and each time after a little bit I get glitchy stuff. Now, it's like you say, ah, ooh, ah, or you get part of a word. I don't know what that's called.
I don't know. I
And
haven't
I
received
just
any
thought I'd
other.
mention it to
Yeah.
you in case there's something on your end you can do.
I'm looking right now to see, and a lot of times, I mean, I can watch the gauge in here. There's a little cheap gauge that shows that I'm broadcasting. That seems to be okay. I'm getting green lights that it's all working. Let me change this. Which shouldn't have affected it anyway, but no, everything looks okay on my end. It's
Good on
all
your end. Okay,
normal.
maybe coming through the airways. That's
Maybe.
another reason I will like having the radio working.
Maybe, but if
Because I don't usually have that problem.
if somebody else has it, please let me know. Let me know if there's a glitching going on out there other than Sandy. I'd like to know.
Is that what you call it, glitching?
I don't know. It sounded good to me.
Okay. That could be the word for it. I was going like, I
Yeah.
don't even know how to explain it to him, but it's like you hear like part of a word. I just can't listen to it.
I understand. Hopefully it clears up. I'm not seeing anything, but it's not abnormal for me to have something. And I look to see if my computer sometimes, they tell you to reboot your computer so it can do an update or something. If you don't do that, after a while, Microsoft starts making glitches of its own until you force yourself to do it. And I've had that happen before, but I don't have that now. I don't have any notice that it needs to be done.
I was just doing the old-fashioned thing. Like from years ago, they'd say, if you're having a problem, just shut your computer down and turn it back on.
That's exactly right. And
that wasn't official. So I shut my phone down twice just to see. And for a little while there, it was doing okay. And then it started doing that glitching again. And I thought, I just wanted to mention it to you. Maybe nobody else is having that problem, that's fine.
I haven't had any.
Heard that the radio station may be back, and one of your listeners was emailed me to ask about it because she's been out of state for a while. And so I said, well, I'll let you know when it comes back. And it's so funny. She asked me yesterday, and now, you may be back on in a few weeks. So
right. I'm expecting
and then what's the deal with getting our attorney general?
Well, they're gonna vote today, possibly. It looks like they're gonna vote today, but with McConnell,
do they have at least 50 votes, and then Vance could be 51?
They think they do, but Bill Cassidy still hasn't weighed in on one way or the other. He's, you know how they always go out and count. The whips go out and ask, where do you stand? Where do you stand? Where do you stand? Bill Cassidy says, we'll find out when I vote.
Well, I hate these sore losers.
Yeah.
Just that your job is to represent the people,
right?
Not be a bad person like McCain was. You don't. That's not what you do to help the American people. And this guy is highly qualified. And all these guys that are complaining, they voted in Garland.
They did.
They approved Garland.
No, they voted.
Give me a break.
They voted for him. Not just watched him pass. They voted for him, and now they won't vote because of Trump. Bill Cassidy may or may not. If Bill Cassidy votes yes, then it'll be 50-50, and then J.D. Vance can break the tie. And that's today.
I would hope, and my husband said it's difficult when you're up there. I said, I wonder if, I should have done something like that, been a politician. He said, oh, it would have ruined you. And I said, well, it'd sure be nice if people would just do the right thing.
Yeah.
I get sick of these stupid little pissant games. That's what I call them.
Yeah.
And maybe it would have run me. Maybe it's really good I didn't do it. And I didn't even think about it till I was older, too old.
Yeah.
But I don't like the games. All you have to do is do the right thing. And this silly stuff is just no.
And those guys
Correct.
mean it from a standpoint of firefights. The right thing, no matter what the cost. Now, I think our politicians and the good ones will do the right thing no matter what the cost. And you mentioned that it might ruin you, people come after you and all that. Yeah. But people with honor, and I think a lot of our politicians do have honor in spite of the negatives that we throw at them at times. They do the right thing no matter the cost. They know they're going to be trolled. They know there's things going to happen to them. And they do it because they want to do the right thing for the country, the right thing, no matter what the cost. And I admire them. And, in spite of all this trolling that goes on, like all politicians are greedy. All politicians are terrible. Well, they're not.
Oh, I know they aren't all.
Yeah, correct.
Because, but
we have a lot that are.
Those few that are doing what they're doing, the stupid games. Is that what you want to be remembered for?
See, they don't.
If you want to remember honor, Benghazi.
They don't have honor. They're not doing.
Those guys at Benghazi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These guys like Tillis and Cornyn, they're doing it because of personality and emotion and all that kind of stuff. There's no honor in what they're doing at all. They're just mad at Trump.
And they're grown men.
And they're going to make the country suffer. Right.
Correct.
It's good.
Well, McCain was the same way.
McCain was at the end. And I liked McCain, but he did.
I know you did.
I
know you did.
Absolutely didn't like that. And at the end, he
betrayed his constituents. He betrayed the country.
Yep.
He made it so that a terrible system still is running and making things terrible for everybody because they haven't been able to fix it.
Correct.
And that would have been a good opportunity. But he couldn't see past his TDS.
It would be. And unfortunately, we got Tillis and Cornyn following in his footsteps as well as
Murkowski. Now, I thought at one point I heard that Cornyn, I read an article, I swear, where Cornyn and Tillis were going to do the right thing. I just heard that like a few days ago. So I don't know what article are you reading, and maybe I can look some more, or you may have a more.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're right, because the Department of Justice agreed to permanently rescind the fund, the $2 billion fund.
Yeah, they don't want people that were abused by the government
to get reimbursed,
to have compensation.
Right. You're right.
That's pretty bad right there.
Cornyn and Tillis agreed because of that.
Right. So they wouldn't be, but Murkowski is a bad lady no matter what.
Right.
There's no use blaming Trump for any of it. She decided from the very beginning, and she tries to get the lady from Maine, Collins, to always vote with her. But I don't know what Collins is going to do.
Normally she does. Well, Collins says she's going to support Blanche because Trump didn't go after her in Maine. So it all comes down to what Trump did to them.
Yeah,
and as Trump pushes for reform, as Trump pushes for the things that he wants done, he's going to step on some toes. And once he steps on toes, they say, well, we're going to stop you from doing anything. And
he needs to step on toes because he's actually, like, I sent you a really well-written article by a guy that's Carfano or something, Jay Carfano wrote it, and Trump has already won in Iran, and he goes through and explains why. And he's making a point of, like, if you look at the big picture, what is President Trump trying to do? And that is to try to make the Middle East more peaceful.
Stop wars, stop killings, yeah.
Something my nephew sent me that was absolutely excellent. It was from Glenn Beck, and I'm not always a fan of Glenn Beck. I know you may be, but I'm not always. Where Glenn Beck was explaining that a lot of the actions that President Trump has taken is to make America safer, stronger, better.
Right.
Like trying to take away from China the Panama Canal, and then taking care of the Suez Canal and the Strait and Greenland. Those are all like points where you need to be able to protect your country. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to get the bad guys out of those PowerPoints. He didn't say it that way. He did a lot better. And I could see if I could go back and find it. And I think I already sent it to you, but I send you too much stuff.
A couple things. I'm agreeing with you, but Susan Collins, I was wrong on. She and Murkowski are the two that are against. And now Cornyn and Tillis are on it, and we don't know about Cassidy.
And then of course they won't let, even if he would vote,
McConnell.
the guy that was in the hospital.
McConnell. Yeah, Mitch.
McConnell.
Yeah.
They won't let him vote. Absentee.
No, it's against the rules.
So,
Has been. Yeah. You can't vote from home. They say he's at the house now. I heard he was at the home. He's home, but I don't know. Nobody's really sat down with him.
I couldn't remember if it said that he was at home or if he was like in an assisted care, but he could probably be at home and have assisted care.
Yeah.
They could afford to do that. So maybe it was at home with assisted care. So and he tried to vote, and somebody else tried to vote on something absentee, or like give somebody a proxy vote.
Can't do it.
And I think it was Tuberville. I can't remember what they were trying to vote on, but he was trying to vote by proxy, and they said, no, we can't allow it.
It's against the rules. And except Nancy Pelosi changed it in the House, remember, for quite a while.
Oh, yeah, she could change anything at whim.
Yeah.
And so Thune is just, I don't know, he's too much like McConnell, I guess. McConnell was really good for the Supreme Court. He made a good decision. Garland turned out to be one of the worst guys that could have ever been in that position, because he certainly was terrible as an attorney general.
We dodged a bullet. He could have been on the Senate. I mean, on the Supreme Court.
Right. So he did do a good thing there, and I'll always remember that. But there's lots of other things that he could just do a better job on, and it's doing that right thing no matter what the cost. And just, you could tell people, remember Benghazi. Our politicians, though, they aren't like those guys.
No. Now, a lot of them
are.
In
fact,
some of them
CIA and Hillary Clinton and Obama, they betrayed those guys.
I think so.
In Benghazi.
I think so.
They didn't send them help.
I got to meet some of them.
They were a small group of guys that saved like 80 or more people.
They were in 2016. They were in Cleveland during the convention, which I attended, and they spoke very strongly that there were people in this country turning their backs on the lives of everyone in those, and they told them to withdraw. They told them to not support them, not protect them, get out. And they said they all volunteered and said, no, we're going to go do the right thing. And they went into that firefight, knowing that it was going to be bad.
80 more people besides that ambassador, 80 or more.
Yeah.
They would have been more than 80, because I'm trying to remember. But besides the ambassador, could have all been murdered. And if those guys wouldn't have done what they did.
There was plenty of time to send help. They could have sent some airplanes in there to help suppress fire from around them, and they refused everything. They would give them nothing. And these heroes fought like crazy, and most of them wounded and everything. They ended up with some injuries.
That's why Murkowski, Collins should always think well of Trump. Yeah. He doesn't do that kind of crap.
Nope. And he's going to be transparent and honest and open about it too. He's going to talk.
Oh yeah, he tells everybody everything.
Yes.
Except when they're like planning something, he doesn't want to endanger people's lives. Right. He's not going to tell you that stuff ahead of time. But otherwise, he's fully transparent. Yeah. He's so welcoming to like these Olympians, to these different teams, to like that little toddler on the stage. At one of his speeches lately, he's doing these extra speeches to try to help the party, but they can't see past their own selfish pride, or whatever you want to call it.
A few of them, but look at the things he's been able to get over to his side. The amount of people when he first ran in 2016, I don't think any of them initially, none of the ones that were running for president in 2016 embraced him after they lost immediately. Anyway. Since then, they've all.
Huckabee did.
Huckabee did initially.
Huckabee, yes. Oh, he was awesome.
But most of them
awesome.
Most of them took months. Even Ted Cruz took months. They just couldn't do it. And little by little, he has really been. Now he is the leader of the party. He's the leader. MAGA is the prominent force, and it wasn't when he was first elected. It was seen as a fringe group. It's not anymore. He's gotten more support, and as he gets more and more support, the holdouts become more and more obvious, like the Cornyn and the Tillis, become more,
But it's
isolated.
so silly on their part because I guess they're going to work for somebody afterwards since they're out, or they're going to
don't know.
write books or whatever.
Don't know.
But it's just a silly thing to do when the country, this guy is really good.
Yeah.
Todd Blanche is excellent. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
And they just, she writes that whole page, or somebody wrote it for Murkowski, and it's meaningless. It's just putting stuff down to make it sound like she actually thought it through, but she never thought anything through.
Murkowski's only in office because of rank choice voting. She was not
Correct.
a favorite at all. She was the number 2.
And they tried to get it out and just barely lost. They should have never allowed it in their state.
No.
And they were trying to get it in Arizona.
Yes.
We don't want that.
Yes, they did. It was on our ballot.
And I think they got it in, may have gotten it in Utah. I'm not sure.
But
they were talking about it, maybe voting on it. I don't know if they ever got it, but that's just a terrible, terrible way. It's so confusing to people, and the whole system is kind of like rigged.
Well, it's designed to take the power away from the powerful, because that way the number 2s will get a chance to win. So you don't have to work for it anymore. Just get ranked choice voting.
Did you see that article, just real quick, and I'll let you go for others, but John Solomon is helping with investigating the 2020 elections, and there was a hacker who hacked in Maricopa something like 670,000 files.
Yeah.
And he admitted to it in the FBI, but they wouldn't prosecute him during Biden.
Yeah, I did.
They wanted to cover up things so much that they wouldn't prosecute a guy that actually hacked the system.
And they're looking.
And it was good old Maricopa.
They're looking into it, though. I mean, they're investigating that. I don't know if anything will come out for the election, but I'd be willing to bet you the Democratic Party's involved in a lot of that. I mean, probably Hobbs and others.
Well,
we don't know.
And I'm seeing more stuff because Joe DeGeneva is running an investigation. I've read more stuff from John Solomon, which I guess he's working on this task force too, if I'm understanding that right. And where they're talking about additional things they found, I guess, in those burn bags or whatever, revealing how Comey and Andrew McCabe and Stroke and Page and all these people, purposely went after President Trump after Comey was fired. They called it Operation Oxford, but they spelled it Oxferd. So if people heard the name Oxford, they couldn't file the Freedom of Information Act and get the information. A way to cover it up. So all I could do is when I saw that, my comment was, I hope that this is explaining to me that they're gathering evidence to do a conspiracy case against these people, because what they did was so awful. That's another thing. How can Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins not open their eyes and see the bad things that were done? And look at Trump, even though they may not agree 100%. Look at all the good things that he's doing.
They don't see it, and they're not listening. You see the reporters following around asking questions. They just pretend they're not in the room with them. They just don't talk. They live in a bubble.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. They live in a bubble.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with everything today. Today is Friday, so have a great weekend.
I love Friday. Thank you, Sandy. Bye-bye. That was Miss Sandy. Got an update from Edward, an economic update. Non-farm payroll unexpectedly declined in July, falling by 23,000. That'd be 23,000 jobs, amid a drop of 53,000 government jobs. Of course, that's why the drop. And softness in retail, leisure, and hospitality, slower than usual growth in healthcare. The unemployment rate edged lower to 4.1%. Was due largely to a further decline in those holding jobs or looking for work. Worker pay, that means like retirees or people that just said, I'm not working anymore, those kind of things. Worker pay was nearly flat in the month as well, with a 12-month increase in the average hourly earnings slipping to 3.2%, the lowest since May of 21. This bad jobs report will stop the Fed Reserve from hiking rates, which is a good thing. The Fed, who dislikes Trump also, would hike rates tomorrow to hurt him. My analyst here thinks that this will stop it. That's probably good. He says, but Government Cook, who is under investigation for fraud, is lobbying the other members to hike rates. Hiking rates today would destroy the economy. Of course, if you hate Trump, there's many that would destroy the economy, just to make sure that the elections don't go in favor of anybody that would support Trump, like in Republicans in the House, Republicans in the Senate. Wow. I did have a listener to tell me on YouTube, transmission keeps freezing up a bit every few seconds. Check my Wi-Fi and tried phone towers and others. Tried another YouTube video and they seem okay. So Sandy's not imagining it. Let's talk to Gilbert this morning. Good morning, Gilbert.
Hey, you're what's that called? Wall to wall, 10 foot tall on your feed this morning.
Yeah, I am.
Well, you know what that means, right?
No. What? The picture or something is blown up?
No, you sound good.
Oh, I sound good. Okay.
Yes.
Well, and are you listening to YouTube or Facebook? What are you listening to?
Oh, Facebook.
Facebook. Well, I think I have some on YouTube that are saying it's let me see. It looks good on Facebook. Facebook fixed it, stopped all the refreshing, working good now. Okay, that came from another listener. That
right. But when Fanny was talking to you, I go, no, you're good. But
okay, good.
I guess
Thank you.
You can't receive a text while you're on the phone.
I can. I didn't see yours.
Oh, you can? Okay. Anyway, I want to make some comments this morning.
Okay.
Okay. I love my Trump. I love my Trump. But a lot of people didn't like Trump during the election because all the trash he spoke about him. Remember when he talked about what's the name from Florida?
The governor?
No. Marco Rubio.
Oh,
right?
Rubio. Yeah, he did. He called him Little Rubio or something. I don't know.
Oh, he called him about little hands. You know the old thing, little hands, little penis.
Oh,
that was always.
He did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Well, everybody used to. You got small hands. You must have a small penis.
Oh, wow.
That was a thing that was always said back in the day. You're teasing somebody.
Yeah.
Small.
Little
small
hands.
feet.
Oh,
small
but he said little hands.
Yeah, I call them little hands.
Okay.
And he always said, "Well, you know what they say about guys with little hands." I mean, he said that.
Oh, okay.
Trump, he said that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well.
And the way he chastised people. What do you expect for people to embrace you after all that crap? No.
They kept calling him Little Marco.
Yeah, Little Marco. Yeah. Call him that. And look what he said about Ted Cruz. He said a lot of stuff that you say in the streets.
Okay.
And that's why they didn't embrace him when he first got elected president. So that was on Trump. And that's the way it is. Yeah, I want to talk about Miss Hong.
Yeah.
That woman that's running?
Yeah.
Who her assistant manager was on Penthouse, and she's also a stripper.
No, really?
Yeah. That was on Jesse or Gutfeld last night.
Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, she was a stripper, and she was on Penthouse. And she looks pretty damn good on the cover of Penthouse. Absolutely.
No, that's too bad.
Too bad you missed that.
No, it's too bad. No, I'm not going to look for that. No.
And I guess Texas decided in the children's hospitals to prohibit kids. They've lost trans surgeries. I think they got rid of 8 doctors there.
Oh, so they're not offering that anymore. Good.
They're not offering that anymore. Exactly. And on the local level, do you hear about that teacher in Somerton?
Yes. Methamphetamine.
Yeah. That's terrible.
Yeah, I got caught with it at school. Left it in your makeup bag. See, that's why I don't carry makeup bag.
Well, I know that, but you always have that straw behind your ears, so that's a giveaway.
There you go.
but this is what I'm going to say about that. Addiction is a terrible thing.
Sure.
And I'm not saying she's an addict. I mean, I don't know if they gave her a drug test or what,
Yeah.
but if in fact she is,
Right.
addiction is a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. And we see it all over the United States of America. And for this lady to have that kind of drugs, 4.35 grams of meth, that's a lot.
Is it
That's a
really?
lot of meth.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, it's not an 8 ball as they call it, but it's a half 8 ball.
Okay. All right.
But that's a lot. And for her to have that tells me she has a bad addiction. She has an addiction that she would carry that with her. And I say I'd like for people of Yuma to pray for that woman
Right.
because addiction is bad. It's terrible. I've seen it, firsthand. I've seen it in the families. And Satan gets a hold of you, has his claws on your shoulders. There's nothing you can do until you get help, self-help but all I'm saying is they're criticizing her and all that, but what she needs is prayers to get her life in order. She lost her livelihood. She'll never be able to teach again.
Probably. I mean, there's rehab opportunities, hopefully, but it ain't
Well,
going to be
well,
for a
they
while if she does teach. It's not going to be tomorrow.
Right. And instead of that BICTH needs to be this and that, let's pray for her.
Right.
Let's pray for her. Because she's 55 years old and she's still doing the stuff.
Yeah.
And a teacher,
Yeah.
she lost all her ability to function, is what I'm saying. If, in fact, that was hers and they gave a drug test and she was under the influence.
Yeah.
I hope she was taken there to sell to other teachers. And that's something you got to look at. And I definitely believe the whole school should be drug tested now.
Oh,
just in case.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. But that should not be in a school. It should be around the kids. It shouldn't be a teacher.
Absolutely.
I think everybody would agree to that. I mean, teachers are real people and they have real problems and real things. So I appreciate your asking for prayers. I think that's the right way to go.
And there are people in there, well, how you just can't imagine how a teacher is with the way the kids act in the classrooms. I mean, they're giving excuses for her doing that.
Yeah.
And there are people saying that she should be,
What?
Anyway.
The kids are so rough. I need to do drugs to get through my day so it's okay. Yeah. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
No. But I just ask Yuma, those of you out there, pray for this woman.
Right.
That she gets her life back. Satan gets his claws on your shoulders, on your neck. You're done. You're done.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. That goes with all addictions. All addictions.
Well, I appreciate your message, man. Thank you, sir. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, Gilbert made me look it up. I didn't know how much. I never looked it up. I didn't know whether 4.3 grams of methamphetamine was residue or a lot. Well, according to my artificial intelligence, it says it's equal to 44,300 milligrams. True. That's just, or roughly 43 average single doses, depending on purity and usage. 43 doses. Oh, she was carrying that much in her makeup bag. Okay, I guess that's a lot, and that moves it up into the potential for a felony. That's not that's in most states. It says most states possessing more than 4 grams causes a legal threshold. Charges from misdemeanor possession to a serious felony when you go beyond 4 grams. I did not know that. That was not in the article. I'm glad Gilbert brought that up on how much that was. I did not know. So it was more of a serious legal challenge than I thought. So she definitely needs prayers, and hopefully she'll be okay. But she's gonna be at rock bottom for a while. I mean, this has got to be devastating for her. Limousine socialist. That's what the JD Vance, our vice president, has been talking about like Abdul El Said being a limousine socialist, and same with Mandani. Thinking that these are people that had wealth in their families and grew up well and private schools, whatever, and lived very good, and then are socialist and thinks that the government should own everything. Well, there's socialists that want to be at the top of the heap, which the oligarchs. And when J.D. Vance talks about the socialists, the El Said and others, is they're not promising you industry. They're not promising you good jobs. They're not promising self-sufficient in a good industry economy. What they're promising is redistribution. True, redistribution. Because they talk about taxing people that have more than you and then giving it to you. That's exactly right, and that's a dead end. Because we see it in all the other typical socialist communist countries where it's all good for a few years while there's lots of money to grab. After a while, all the billionaires are gone or depleted. And what do you do then? If your industry is grabbing monies from others, there's a finite industry. You're not going to last long, which I don't think a lot of our politicians have figured out yet, particularly those that want to go start putting special taxes on billionaires' wealth. Let's just take their wealth. Well, that ends pretty abruptly and quickly in a very short order. Vice President also talked about El Sayed in Michigan's Democrat U.S. Senate race, which, of course, we know now that he won. And he talks about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is also part of that communist, socialist communist. I say socialist because they call themselves socialists, self-described. He says the base of the Democrat Party just wants radicals. I think they demonstrate that. It wants people who hate even the idea of private property ownership. But it also, I think, tells us that particular set of ideals is very popular in places you wouldn't expect, because El Sayed, he's the guy who holds himself out as a working class hero, as a guy who's going to fight for the working class. How does he fight for the working class? By flooding his state and his country with low-wage immigrants. Of course, these people will drive down the wages of the working class. And he also doesn't want to do anything to protect Michigan auto industry. He has fought against the Trump tariffs that saved the Michigan auto industry. He labels him, the vice president labels him limousine socialist. He says, we've seen this in Europe and in the United States, the idea that you can build real prosperity just by redistributing assets from one group to another. That's not how you build real prosperity. You have to actually sustain the foundation of the economy. That is what the President of the United States has worked us towards for the past 18 months. It's going to continue to pay dividends. It will. It will. And speaking of redistribution of wealth, we've been working in the South here of redistributing water, when really what we have is a shortage. And when we have a shortage, everybody worries about themselves, and it's redistribution time. It's folly. It's going to end in nobody having water, or not enough water. It's never going to be zero, but you start cutting your consumption down by half and 2/3, you're going to realize it's very close to not having water. Your golf courses will die. Maybe. I don't know. It depends on whether the mayor plays golf, I guess. Well, Colorado River cuts are coming. They're coming. More. I mean, we've been in the midst of Colorado River cuts and people getting ready. And of the 7 states that are in the pack here off the Colorado River, there needs to be some decisions made, because you can't distribute more water than you have. And that's where we are right now. Every state, municipality, everybody wants more water than what's available. So something's got to give. You can't wish it away or borrow it or just go into water debt. It's not there. If it's not there, it's not there. And yeah, you could go ahead and drain every bit of it, take it down to where it's dry. And some places have done that. some governments and stuff. In fact, Colorado River never reaches the Gulf of Mexico. Nope, no, it doesn't reach the ocean at all because it's gone before it gets there. Used to, it used to, and we feed water down to Mexico by treaty every day. A certain amount of water has to pass every day, but it never reaches the ocean anymore. Well, we could actually make it to where it doesn't even reach Arizona if they wanted to. I'm sure they would gladly use it before it gets here. So we need to be sensible about it, and that's what these packs do, is they distribute it so that it doesn't run out. And if it gets down to certain stages, there's a required reduction in distribution. And that's where we are. And it needs to be done. The states in the pack are given the opportunity to decide amongst themselves on how to redistribute that water. They've been trying that for a few years, and they're at an impasse. So the federal government just steps in, and the federal government has done that and come up with a solution, which is not liked by many, including Arizona. This article I'm reading about the Colorado River cuts concern Phoenix, and they're one of the hardest hit because of the CAP. That's a Central Arizona project. The CAP is actually like the last one to join the pack for distribution rights, and they did that eyes wide open and knowing that, look, if we ever get ourselves into a drought situation and you get cut, you're the one that gets cut first. No one gets cut till we take your water back because you were the last one to pile onto the river. Now, of course, the people that rely on Central Arizona Project is all of Phoenix, Tucson, probably a lot of that rely on it. In fact, 40% of Phoenix's municipal water supply comes from the Colorado River through the Central Arizona Project. And yeah, you take 40% away from Phoenix, that's probably going to cause a problem. Well, now the city council was scheduled to do an executive session yesterday. I don't know what the discussion was, but it was about Colorado River legal issues. We're talking about the legal issues because they would like to find a legal way around it, a legal way around about continuing to receive water that just isn't available or that it's not fair. I'll read you a lot of what they say. That it's not fair, even though we agreed it's not fair. According to the agenda for the meeting, which was posted on July 31st, the city's reaction came July 31st after the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation released its proposal final environmental impact statement outlining alternatives for managing the Colorado River through 2036. So they put out a plan that's going to last for 10 years because of the worst long-term drought in recorded history. Well, I think that is it a drought because we're using more, or a drought because less is falling, or a combination? I don't know. I would guess probably a combination. The Bureau of Reclamation did not establish final operating rules, but lays groundwork for the water reductions beginning in 2027. So I guess what they put out there is their plan, but they leave it open as not final, but it's a groundwork. Okay. Well, many people are opposing the groundwork. They don't like it. They believe it disproportionately shifts responsibility to Arizona and the lower basin states while requiring comparatively few immediate reductions from the upper basin states. Well, that's probably true. That's, if you look at the treaties and everything as it was laid out, that's probably as designed, I would guess. Mayor of the mayor of Phoenix, Kate Gallego. Is that the wife of Senator Gallego? I think it is, but let me know if I'm wrong. Solving the Colorado River issue demands a fair, basin-wide solution in which every stakeholder is asked to sacrifice. See, even though they're at the tail end and they're supposed to be the first to sacrifice, they're saying, no, it's fair to make everybody. Of course, if they're on the other end, like some of these states are on the other end saying, well, we don't have to. So we're not going to. We've already cut enough. And now Phoenix saying it's unfair. Phoenix is prepared to use less Colorado River, but it's wrong to lay a disproportionate share of the burden of Arizona. You notice they don't say it's illegal. It's just wrong. Katie Hobbs, our governor, contains unacceptable options that include federal government forcing Arizona to take the majority of draconian water cutbacks. She called the federal government to accept a compromise proposal put forward by the lower basin states. That's right. California, Nevada, and Arizona put forth their own proposal. And in that proposal, they don't get draconian cuts. I mean, it's a compromise, I guess, to them. He said the compromise would protect Arizona from massive water cuts, distribute reductions more fairly across the lower basin, provide stability and protection to the water supply for our communities rely on. It sounds reasonable, unless you're from the northern basin. Hobbs said one of the largest conservation programs in Colorado River history, Arizona, California, and Nevada have committed to conserve over 3.2 million acre feet Lake Mead over the last 2 years. Agreed. But that wasn't due to just any reason other than that we had to, I guess. Since 1983, Arizona Colorado River use in 2025 was the second lowest since 1992, while Arizona is prepared to contribute nearly a third of its Colorado River entitlement to the solution. After reductions and voluntary conservation, Hobbs noted that previous proposals requested conservation commitments of 2% reductions to average annual waterfall use upper basin has been rejected. Yeah, because it's not enough. The city also, and they're just talking about all the great things they've done. They use reclaimed water for power generation. True, Palo Verde runs on reclaimed water. Water that goes through the sewer plants. As a processed sewage, the water taken out of that, and there is a lot of water taken out of that, gets reverse osmosis, gets cleaned up, and it's actually drinkable, but nobody wants it. So it goes into irrigation, environmental purposes, and those kind of things. Although some places it is, I think Tucson uses reclaimed water from sewage, the yuck factor, which was illegal at one time, but not anymore. And the technology's sound. I just don't want to know that's what's being done. Just don't tell me. In April 28th, the city, they couldn't absorb a complete loss of Colorado River water in the 10 years, even though it's taken measure to handle reductions. They're saying, like, we've done it all, but we can't take that much. Right. They've overbuilt based on available water. And it's been one of the requirements to build a house is you need to show that there's available water. And the building continues, but I don't know where they come up with available water. I mean, I don't know if they can still do that. Decades of investment have left Phoenix in a far stronger position than many communities facing similar shortages. And this is something I heard about the other day. The things they've been doing to prepare for this, because they know it's coming, because they know they're last on the list. They started aggressive conservation programs back in the 1980s. I didn't know it was that long ago, but because we were not in droughts then. In fact, we had to release water from the Colorado River in the early 90s because we had too much water. Yeah, we had flooding and too much water. Seems like a long time ago, but I remember it. I was in San Diego at the time, but I remember it. 675 feet of acre water stored in underground construction of the city's drought pipeline, which they've done that, to put that stored under there. In other words, they've been hoarding water, putting water and 675,000 acre feet is no small amount, but it's not going to keep them for long. The construction of the city's drought pipeline, expansion of groundwater recovery wells, and development of additional renewable water resources, which is making the best use of everything they've got. And I'm still disappointed that we don't have aggressive opportunities to find new water like desalination. Like, you can't do that in Phoenix, but they can do it in California, which relies on water. They can do it in Mexico, which relies on water, and pump it to us. There's a lot of things that could be done along those levels, but nobody wants to spend the money for it. I mean, how costly is it to stop your construction? How costly is it to lose business? How costly is it to not be able to water your golf greens? Well, eventually you lose tourism, you lose everything else. I think it's more costly than desalination myself. But people keep holding out, thinking the crisis is going to last forever and that these kinds of things won't happen. And they've been holding out for decades on spending the big money and doing big projects like like the people that built the West. The people that came before us built the West, put in the dams and put in the irrigation systems and put all that kind of stuff. They thought big, they thought way ahead, and they helped manage and build to make water available. And we haven't done those big things. Yeah, I mean, Phoenix put in a underground storage of 675,000 acre feet. That's not a big thing. That's just hoarding what little bit we have. That's a hoarding measure. It's a lot cheaper than building desalination and pipelines, I guess. Max Wilson, he's a water resource manager. He explained to the council, look, Colorado River's in crisis. Yeah, more than 2 decades of historically low river flows, declining reservoir levels at Lake Powell and Lake Meads. Yep. The city spent years diversifying its water portfolio because they recognize the shortage could become increasingly more likely, which they have been. So they've been building their own hoarding issues, putting underground stuff. Don't get me wrong, I approve of it. It's great. I mean, go ahead, put some underground. Keep it for a rainy day. I like it. I wish reservoirs were being built in California. I mean, they could have big reservoirs in California, but it runs off into the ocean instead. Worse, not all of the water is actually physically available as much as below the dead pool thresholds. I didn't know what dead pool was, so it explains it. Dead pool amounts account is when the amount of water stored in reservoirs is so low, water can no longer flow downstream or through dams, halting or restricting power generation. That's dead pool. And that power generation plant is necessary and counted on. The Colorado River Basin must, let me see, the latest agreement centers on how these reductions should be shared. Arizona, California, and Nevada jointly submitted a proposal, and that's a proposal that Hobbs and others are calling like, that's the one we should use, is the one that these 3 states got together and did. 3.2 million acre feet of conservation through 2028. Annual reductions, including totaling 1.25 million acre feet beginning in next year, 27. Under that proposal, Arizona would reduce its use by 760,000 acre feet annually. See, it would reduce it 760,000. They only have 675,000 in underground storage for a rainy day. So that would be wiped out in a year, according to that. Of course, that's at the city. The 760 would be the whole state. And it would reduce California by 440 acre feet, Nevada by 50,000 acre feet. Those are all the reductions. They argued that the lower basin users have already conserved more than 11 million acre feet since 2003. We've already done so many good things. Well, those good things have not solved the problem, is what the issue is. Among them, the Phoenix has undertaken recent years to ensure water supply adequacy. They have by hoarding. Let's talk to Gilbert. What's up, Gilbert?
Yeah, 2 questions.
Sure.
Our 100-year treaty with Mexico, has that expired?
I have no idea. And you're talking about a treaty according to water that we have to give them.
The water. Right.
I don't know if does that go away? Wow. Is there? You think there's a point where we'll get to where we'll say, well, we're no longer going to send you anything?
That's why I'm calling the guy that knows everything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do we still have? And if the water's not flowing like it should be flowing, that's when the desalting plant goes into full operation to take salt out of the water. That's what that was made.
Well,
that was built.
Yeah, that was made for
desalination.
Desalination of the water that we pump out of the ground. We pump water out of the ground to keep.
I thought that was because at one time the water was not flowing like the river water wasn't flowing. It was really salty.
Well,
it could be
yes,
wrong, but I do know.
Yes, you're not wrong. But what they're doing is we have like 93 pumps in Yuma, from what I understand, that keep the water level from coming too high because we do so much irrigation, the water level rises. So they pump it. Otherwise, it would bring the salt up to the soil and destroy crops. So they pump the water to keep the salt down. And when they pump the water, it has salt in it. They used to just pump it into the river, and it's too salty then. So they have they have a salinity type canal where they put the saline water in, and it would flow right into the desalination plant. Now it has less salt than the ocean, And that desalination plant was designed to desalinate it, then pump it into the river so that we gave Mexico river water and not salt water.
Yeah, right, right, right.
But we haven't
So I
needed it
know,
recently, and all that water flows in a separate canal all the way down through Mexico into a marshland. Instead of desalinating it, they dump it down into the marshland down through Mexico.
right, but like I said, a bird just hit my window.
Uh-oh, stupid bird.
Yeah. Well, that's how clean my wife has the windows. They thought it was a clear shot.
That's right.
But yeah, I'm just curious because I know because the water levels that's why they created the desalting plant. Remember the first desalting plant was close to YPG.
Oh,
Now we have it where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
it's been turned on in over a decade. You know, it's still
Right.
it's
That's,
still operational, but it's
Right.
old school
Very minimal.
technology and very expensive to run.
Right. I worked there for a few years. I think 5 years. I gave 5 years of my life.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know a lot about that and how it was running and the membranes. My goodness, if people realize how many membranes are involved in that little plant,
Uh-huh.
to me that's a small plant compared to what other countries have. But yeah, we were taking the salt out of the water. So and I know there was a 100-year treaty with Mexico
Well,
with the water.
I'm looking at the treaty right now. It was in 1944 is when it was done. The 1944 Framework on Colorado River is a treaty. U.S.-Mexico Water Treaty governs shared water resource. U.S. gives Mexico 1.5 million acre-feet of Colorado River water yearly, diverted largely near the California-Arizona border, Morales Dam. Well, Mexico, yeah, and it doesn't give me a timeline on that. It just says 1944 treaty. So I don't know if it's 100 years or not. It doesn't say.
Yeah, I remember it as being a 100-year treaty. That's what I remember it as. That's why I called to ask you.
Let me ask artificial intelligence when it expires. Nope, 1944 treaty does not have an expiration date. It's a permanent agreement, however, specific by national operational guidelines when cooperation minutes tied to the treaty, such as the 323 regarding Colorado River water sharing and shortage sharing, are scheduled to expire at the end of December 2026. Prompting current renegotiations between the United States and Mexico. So it looks like that's also up. Minute 323 says that they're going to have to talk about the salinity standards and all that kind of stuff. Wow. So it looks like water fights are going to be everywhere.
Right. I thought I'd just call you up and ask you.
Well, I'm glad you did. I didn't know that, and it forced me to take a look, buddy. Thank you.
All right.
All right, man.
Later on.
Bye-bye. Bye. Good for Gilbert. I never knew that it had an expiration. Well, the treaty doesn't, but according to minute 323, it does. I don't know how you have to talk to a lawyer, see how that works. Minute 323 regarding Colorado River sharing and shortage sharing, scheduled to expire at the end of December 26, prompting current renegotiations. So I would assume that means it's underway because it's set to expire December 31st of this year. So it might cause some changes. And I really don't know enough to know whether it's time to turn that desalination plant back on and turn that swamp water into drinkable water, and if it's enough to worry about, or if it's too expensive and there needs to just be a whole new desalination program. Because Israel, well, Saudi Arabia too, they do a lot of desalination. All those Gulf states do. They do it so much cheaper. I mean, they've got more modern technologies that are less expensive than what we use. That would be good. Where was I? Phoenix has stored, we see 700, it talks about that. City completed approximately $300 million drought pipeline, which I know we've done that, the storing, the infrastructure. The city on this Friday, the final operating guidelines of the Bureau of Reclamation may require drawing a stored water reserves. In other words, they'll have to go into it now. They're backups. Phoenix will also expand conservation program and ask residents and businesses to use water even more efficiently. Phoenix is prepared at this moment, and our customers can expect reliable water service. That's according to Brad Kelso. He's the Water Service Department, but preparations does not mean we can stand still. We may need to use some of the water we have stored, accelerate investments in future supplies, and work together as a community to reduce demand. It all sounds good. Now, when we talk about the reduction in water and we say that Arizona is going to have to take a big reduction in water, we all look at that and say, well, we need the farmland, and how's that going to affect Yuma? There's nowhere in here that it says it affects Yuma. And theoretically, it shouldn't affect Yuma. Because we've got the oldest water rights. Our water rights date back to before we were a state. Individual water rights that come to Yuma. But yeah, it says here Arizona would reduce by 760,000 acre feet under the, and that's under the proposal from the city or from the states. Probably more than that from Bureau of Reclamation, but it shouldn't affect Yuma or most of Yuma. I think we got 7 water districts, I think, but the treaties go back before. But talking to lawyers before, I've talked to lawyers on this about water lawyers, and say, look, that's all good, but somebody at the north end of the river before it gets to us could have a shovel and divert it and say, sue me. Our needs are better than yours, bigger than yours. And the needs of Phoenix and Tucson represent political power that we just don't have in Yuma. We don't have the political power. We may have the laws, we don't have the political power, and no telling. We don't tell. We may get voted out, I don't know. That's always a concern. And Yuma has shared in some of those reductions, for sure. There has been some sharing in those reductions. So it's up in the air, but it could be terrible. The Bureau of Reclamation is expected to issue a record of decision later this year, establishing the operating guidelines. Of course, it's not full, but Hobbs and others are arguing that it's not fair and all that. I don't know how far that's going to go. Hobbs says Arizona provides the agricultural produce, critical minerals, weapons defense systems, and cutting-edge semiconductors that feed America, protect America, and fuel America's high-tech economy. Right. And all that's true. Of course, you did that knowing that you didn't have protected water. And now you're saying, now my needs are so good, we need to void the agreement because our needs are so big. And it's good for you. Okay. No other state in the Colorado River Basin can say the same. We developed the lower basin proposal to increase water resiliency for the region and ensure that no single state was bearing the burden alone. Inadequate federally imposed cuts to our Colorado River water allocation will be unacceptable to Arizonans, and we will put every American at risk. True. Phoenix statement said that they would move to stage 2 water warning by the end of 26. I don't know what that is, but it sounds ominous. Expanded conservation education, increased financial incentives, additional residential and business water efficiency consultants request to reduce water use and potential drought surcharges. So it's going to cost you more money. Of course, if you spend more money, you're going to use less of it. Residents and businesses will be asked to reduce unnecessary water use by checking for leaks, improving irrigation efficiencies, selected desert adapted landscaping. We've been doing all this for years, participated in Phoenix water conservation programs. Everyone's been doing that for years. And they're saying do more of it, and because not everyone's done it, but we've been, a lot of, I think all the new residential programs have all been desert landscapings, to my knowledge. I haven't known them. Some of the older housing areas don't have desert landscaping throughout. There's some have decided to go desert, but I don't know if you could make that happen. Well, the way to make it happen is make water so expensive that everybody does it. You could, and then that may be what's going to go on. So be ready for it. I still don't hear anybody bringing up plans through all that, the whole proposals and everything. We didn't talk about putting more desalination systems in California so California doesn't rely on the Colorado River. You realize the Colorado River allotment to California. Most of it gets shipped over the mountains. They have to pump that to LA and San Diego and all that stuff. They pump it all the way over there, which is not cheap either. It's not cheap for electricity just to pump all that stuff. So they take the free water off the Colorado and those big canals, and they just pump it over there. Where desalination at this stage of the game, because the technology's improved so much and the price is reduced so much on the acre foot from a desalination plant, that it could conceivably be very much close to what it cost them just to pump it. But no one's looking for it because nobody wants to pay it. And I know there's been suggestions that the 7 states in the basin here that rely on the Colorado River pay to have those plants built. In other words, those prices would be shared. That I've heard that recommendation from some people. That yeah, it's going to be California's water, but we should pretty much pay them not to take it off the Colorado, so they can take that money and buy a desalination systems that could manage it. We'll see how it goes, but if nothing else, this continued cuts is going to make people thirsty, and that's going to create innovation. Yeah. I mean, when you go thirsty, you're going to get innovative a lot faster. When businesses stop and your growth stop, you can't build new businesses because water's not available. Yeah, then innovation looks more like something we want to engage in. Hey, man, Donnie in New York City, he just got booed off the stage again, which happens. I mean, Trump was booed. When was Trump booed last? Oh, one of the soccer matches or World Cup. There was a mixture of a few boos. Not booed off stage, but there was a mixture. I can't remember what state that was in, but it was a state not as favorable. Well, when Tom Mandani was in New York attending a police department's 43rd Patrol Borough National Night Out Against Crime on Tuesday. So he stood up to say a few things, and in less than a minute was booed loudly, jeered, chants, "Get out of here, nobody wants you," enough to where he couldn't calm it down. In less than a minute, he couldn't calm it down, and he just thanked the crowd and left. Gave his signature hand over his heart and waved. I think that's a Nazi salute, isn't it? So he gave his Nazi salute, waved, and walked off stage. Well, somebody tried to keep the organization, attempted to maintain control, keep the event going. But booing persisted and shaking her fist at Mandani, even though he wasn't even talking. According to Derek Tottery, he's a conservative pundit. Mandani tried to deliver a speech at a New York police event in Manhattan, but was viciously booed and cheered off stage. He walked off in shame. Keep in mind that Mandani, he's a Democrat socialist, and it does say that in the article, even though this article comes from a New York magazine or a New York source that is pro-socialist, but it says New York City socialist mayor, which I'm surprised they labeled him, but just mayor. But keep in mind, he's anti-police. He wants to close police forces, close them down, and reduce them, and go to alternative measures like you're going to send a activist or somebody, a socialist or somebody to calm down the situation versus somebody that can control it. Social commentator Joey Manorino, New York's communist mayor Zoran Mandani just got the reception he actually deserves, booed, jeered, and screamed off the stage at a New York Police Department night out event in Staten Island in under a minute. He said the same cops and working class New Yorkers, this DSA, that's Democrat Socialist of America, radical and soft on crime buddy, spent years attacking, vilifying, and trying to defund, just told him to get the blank out. He stood there smiling like an idiot while the crowd chanted for him to leave. Staten Island sees right through him. And yeah, he's got a program smile like a rock star, movie star, or whatever, or a politician. As you say, can I have my picture taken with it? They automatically smile, and it doesn't matter what mood they're in or anything else. It's just, that's a practice thing. Uh, he does it very well. Ronald Reagan President Foundation and Institute President Sal Servino said, "God bless America and God bless the people of Staten Island, New York, unofficially known as Staten, Italy." Tell you why I said that in a minute. Proud to have been born there. Well, when Mandani put out the richness of the New York City by putting on all the immigration uh, areas, the areas where immigrants were, he left off Little Italy, which is probably one of the more famous, but talked about Nigerian people here or Somalian or whatever. I mean, a lot of them are broke down. He put it out on a map. He had them all printed up to give out how proud we are of New York for its minorities, and left off Italians. How could you do New York and leave out Italians? I don't know. He did. He did. And another influencer, David Freeman, says Mandani should be mocked. Voters are starting to notice the gap between the campaign promises and the actual price tags. The reception is getting noticeably colder. Keep in mind that only 10% voted for Mandani because you guys didn't vote. They didn't vote. They stayed home, and Mandani won big because the socialists were ready to make a change. Like, let's start giving away everybody else's money. Capture everyone else's money, give it to me, and then let's make stupid laws that cause us to fail financially. Mandani's budget does include cuts to police funding and canceling plans to hire 5,000 a year police department officers. Well, you think that might get you booed at a police officer rally? You think? Of course. This article also mentions Snowball Gate, which I had forgotten about. Before the election, before he was elected mayor, when he was just a candidate, there was an incident at Washington Square Park where a mob of people, more than 100, started throwing snowballs at New York Police Department officers with snowballs, and it left 2 of them injured. And Mandani made light of it, referring to the perpetrators as kids taking part in a snowball fight. Well, it was more than that. A lot of these were solid ice, and yes, there were police officers damaged and hurt. Manhattan Institute fellow Raphael said Mandani did not come out in support of New York Police Department in that incident, meaning the snowball gate. He seemed to kind of brush it off and even refused to call for the protection of the prosecution of the perpetrators. So he's been losing ground all along. So he shouldn't be a surprise to him that he stands up in front of these groups and gets mocked. Shouldn't surprise him at all. Mike tells me, I'll just check my messages real quick, that it's coming in loud and clear now. So it must have been a problem early on that was outside my control. One of my listeners said, "What's the causes of the water shortage?" Wow, that's a great question, and I think it's a combination. There has been less rainfall in the area. That's a fact, and it's not the rainfall as much as it is the snowpack. Up in Colorado snowpack is one of the things to really keep an eye on. And yeah, we've had some good years of the snowpack. Even in the last 20 years, there's been some good years. Not enough of them. Not enough of them were that snowpack. If that snowpack is where it should be, then that'll overcome some of it. And some of it was a shifting, I think. There's been shifting in the planet as far as the jet stream and some other things that have gone on that has caused it. Before the start of the drought, and I think it was in like the mid '90s when kind of official start, we actually had a lot of flooding. Snowpack was big, and there was flooding going on. They had to open up the gates, and then it shifted to that. But beyond that, the amount of building and usage of the Colorado has increased. Um, we have a lot more population now than we'd had. Built more golf courses, swimming pools, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's a combination. I would I would I would need to talk to some experts to get some exact numbers and figures. I don't have them. I haven't sat down and talked about water shortages probably in a decade directly with some of the experts on it that are following it. Let me see. Wonder what desalination plants do with the brine and all that stuff, the byproduct of desalination. Well, and that's a great question. And the byproduct of desalination is they take the water and they take out all the salts and minerals and all the stuff that's floating in there. And normally, what they do is they pump it right back where it came from. So you take 1,000,000 gallons of ocean out of the water with all of its additional salt and everything, and you pump back in the salt minus the water. Does it affect the environment where it is discharged? Some say yes, it does. It does in some areas. Um, and I know that conversation is one reason that California made it very difficult to get desalination plants. I mean, they're still existing. I don't know exactly what that was, but I've been told anecdotally that some of these plants get turned down because the EPA says taking salt out of the river and then pumping it back in more concentrated is dangerous. The ocean's a big place, and I don't know what percentage of salt that it would be putting back in there. What it represents, but it's going to be minute. I think there's a case to be made of like if you just dump it right next to the shore, it would be a problem. How far out to where it would actually dissipate quickly and everything is beyond me. I don't know, but I think that's a fair conversation. That the brine and stuff that comes out on how it's handled needs to be handled properly so that it works back into the mix. I don't think there's any chance of pumping the salt back into the ocean. It's going to make the ocean too salty. I think that would be beyond our imagination. I don't think that's a possible thing. And it's going to. I would assume it's going to mix back in, but I don't know if you put it on the shore, if it might hang around the shore too much or pile up on the shore. It might. Great questions, one way or the other. I don't know what they did with it locally. Locally, the desalination plant in Yuma, of course, we're not on the ocean. So if they desalinate that, and it's a lot less salty than the stuff that comes off the ocean, the stuff that was coming out into the desalination plant in Yuma. What did they do with that? I would assume they had it trucked out. Now, where it got trucked and where it got located is beyond me. I don't know. That's a great question. But the ones on the ocean do pump it back in. They take it out of the ocean, they pump it back into the ocean, which to me seems pretty reasonable. But I think if you just dumped it right offshore, like near a beach, it may cause a problem. I don't know how far out you'd have to go though. Article coming out of Madison, Wisconsin. And the article's Communist Socialist Network helped fuel Madison protest after Corey Ruiz shooting. Investigation finds. They did an investigation. Corey Ruiz is a homeless man that got shot and killed by police officers. So I got it here somewhere. But anyway, he was trying to find out where he was. Okay, here it is. On July 22nd, police said officers responded to reports of theft, and Ruiz fled on a bicycle. Now, several officers caught up to him, which is good. Those were the cops that didn't eat as many donuts. They were able to catch up to him, according to authorities. I don't know. They didn't say anything about the donuts. I just threw that in there. Ruiz pulled a knife, injured one officer with a knife during a struggle, And then another officer fatally shot him during that struggle with the police officer. It from that simple explanation, sounds like it could have been something that, unfortunately, is what they're trained to do, is to protect each other, and a knife will kill you quickly. And if you attack an officer with a deadly instrument, bad things can happen. And what those bad things are is subject to who they are, what the situation is, and all that other stuff. Wasn't there, and I'm not going to make any comments whether it was the right thing or wrong thing to do. I don't know. They're doing an investigation to verify. And there were, I think, 4 officers at the scene, 4 or 5 at the scene. Protesters have already made up their decision. They've accused law enforcement of using excessive force. They're doing several demonstrations, and they're drawing parallels to the Floyd. They want to have outrage as big as the Floyd protest. Now, there's many organizations that are involved in this coming together, and these things are organized. There's the Madison chapter of the Openly Communist Party for Socialism and Liberation. There's Freedom Incorporated. There's Social Justice Nonprofit, and the Freedom Road Socialist Organization, which is a Marxist-Leninist, Freedom Road Socialist Organization, and a Marxist-Leninist political organization. You got 4 of them that are, I guess, combining efforts to do that. And this article goes through and talks about, well, who are these people and who are these organizations, what do they hope to do? Well, together, they're organizing demonstrations and small protest encampments, demanding that the officers arrest and referring to him as killer cop. They're not going to wait for due process on this. They publicly said it bailed out. The Freedom Incorporated said it bailed out dozens of protesters following the recent arrest. They protest in streets and beg to get arrested, and then they do, and then they got money to bail them out. So, I'll tell you where the money comes from in a minute. And there's a broader pattern in which communist and socialist organizations have used local confrontations with law enforcement to build protest movements and advance broader political agendas. So they look for these movements to increase the membership. And that's according to national security experts that are studying these situations. Well, the city let the thing go on for a while. They finally dismantled an encampment. They had an encampment in a road somewhere on Tuesday morning. And it included dozens of tents, 4 portable, they had portable toilets coming in, food distribution areas, memorial displays. And they also brought a raised fist sculpture from the Minneapolis George Floyd Square to the encampment. Now, how'd they get that there? I don't know if that sculpture was permanently at the square, or was it portable to take to protest? It doesn't say. Somehow it ended up there. The initial demonstration started on July 22nd. After police said officers responded to reports. That was right after that. But the protest accused law enforcement of using excessive force during several demonstrations, drawing parallels to 2020 Florida death. The protesters allegedly, which means there's video of it, threw projectiles at city workers, set 5 street fires, clashed with officers. And amazingly, it didn't get quite the press as the Floyd thing did. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but the Madison Police, that's according to Madison Police Department, and they said the unrest resulted in at least 22 arrests. They recovered a handgun from a juvenile protester. It was unrelated, to other charges. The money, these organizations, comes from Neville Roy Singham, at least part of it. He's a Marxist tech entrepreneur who lives in Shanghai, and we've mentioned his name before, but Singham is supporting these guys, and not in a small way. According to some investigation, they found out that $285 million flowing from Singham into a global network of nonprofits, activist organizations, and media operations since the shooting. That's just since the shooting in July. Now, keep in mind, he lives in Shanghai, and he's got ties to the CCP. The Madison chapter of the Party for Socialism and Libertarian has used its social media accounts to mobilize supporters with inflammatory rhetoric, repeatedly referring to the officer as killer cop, and urged followers to take to the streets. So this is a rally for membership rally. When they dismantled it on Tuesday, and I said they dismantled the encampment, they were there with video and cameras, and then the socialists took video of the officers clearing flowers, candles, and memorial items intersection where Ruiz was shot, and of course they put that out on social media, stating the killer cop is still walking free, still in the streets, still being paid, while identifying the officer by name. They out him by name. You can destroy a memorial, but you cannot destroy a movement. So they really very much want to get a Floyd movement going on. They want riots and fires and stuff in every liberal state. The activists are repeatedly identifying the officer and demanding his arrest. There's 4 other officers involved. They've not got the names of those people yet, but they do remain on administrative leave while the Wisconsin Department of Justice investigates the shooting. And that's what would scare me if I was one of the police officers. Not whether you did the right thing or the wrong thing. How much politics is going to go into this, or politicians are going to say, well, we need to do something to calm it down, so let's just go ahead and throw these cops in jail or something. Yeah, that runs through my mind. I hope I'm being too dark on that. I hope that never happens. I hope cities don't do that. I hope we follow whatever rules and laws are, and not political pressure, because we don't want any more streets being burned. Well, actually, in the long run, what you get is if you give into these things and arrest a police officer where normally there would not be an arrest, I think that just invites them to do it again. Freedom Incorporated advocates abolishing police, defunding in law enforcement, and broad criminal justice reforms. Criminal justice reforms to me means defunding police, getting social workers, I guess. They claim they're the ones that bailed out 50 people. You arrest them, we'll bail them out. We got money. And according to IRS filings, because they're an organization, they're incorporated, they file IRS filings. They had income of $4.9 million in revenue in 2024. $1.24 million comes from government taxes, government money, government grants. I'd be curious what those grants are. And we've known for years that these government grants are out of control, and a lot of these are set up so that favorable nonprofits, NGOs, and stuff get grants that end up doing the bidding of the left. Right now, that bidding's chaos in the street. So they got 1.24 million just from the government, just that one of them. In 23, they got 4.2 million in revenue and 1.13 million in government grants. And those first numbers include the grant money that includes it, as well as a ton of money from communist China. And they're highly organized. They put posters out all about all about Freedom Incorporated. Don't arrest me, arrest the cops. Jail killer cops. Jail Corey. Justice for Corey Ruiz. Dare to struggle, dare to win. And giant banner was hung up at City Hall. Arrest the killer cops. Across the front of the building. Threw balloons with red liquid at the building, according to the media. Well, let me see. All this goes on, and it mentions more of the organizations, how they get their money and stuff, but it's coming from same sources, and a lot of tax dollars are going into protests, which is just a concern, a huge concern. Freedom Incorporated organized also drew support from Fight Black News. It's a publisher that on Instagram group posts and others that highlights organizations like this and encampments, trying to incorporate people to get involved and get outraged and stuff. Fight Back News. I guess it's to help the communist and the socialist type organizations. Help organize on the ground and highlighted a 4-day education series and postcard writing campaign. Yep. That they want volunteers. They want people to get and organize. They want people to join the chaos. Demanding the officer's arrest, defunding, no due process, just arrest him. Defund the police, strengthen civilian oversight, which means strengthen so that we oversight it. Expand community control of policing. Well, you have community control of policing. You have legislators and mayors and police, sheriffs that are voted in by the community. And they make the policies that you vote in. It already is. They have a website and on Fight Back. And then some of their members are actually members also of the Freedom Road Socialist Organization, which is another far left organization, and Party for Socialism and Libertarian. Doesn't commit one way or the other. Madison resident Tom Beck, just a guy off the street, retirees, lived in the city for 12 years. City officials allowed this encampment to become entrenched before dismantling it. Correct, Tom. Correct. That's always the case. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Russ. How are you?
I'm doing well, Danny. How are you?
Well, dig in, boy, because it's going to get warm.
We're used to it, man. We're tough. We live here. I'm not native, but I've become that.
It doesn't mean I have to like it, Russ. Hey,
Yeah.
anyways, what I'm calling about is what you were talking about reminds me of, if you go back into your history, 1930s to 40s Nazi Germany,
Yeah.
isn't this the same kind of crap that they pulled?
Correct. They protest and street and all that. I mean, this is a tried and true methodology. This is not new. Chaos, create collapse of the system so that we can take it over. Yep. It's unfortunate that it's so well noted and not everyone sees it for what it is. And all we have to
Right.
do to fight it is just don't let it happen.
Right. Exactly.
But instead, we're funding it with tax dollars.
And whose bright idea is that, Russ?
That would be more leftist politicians that are in favor of these NGOs. It really exploded under Barack Obama. The NGOs and the use of NGOs and stuff exploded under him, and then they just start throwing money like bars of gold off the Titanic. That's a quote from one of the funders of the Barack Obama administration that was throwing money into the NGOs before Trump got in. Get rid of the money,
Right.
throw it off into these NGOs organizations so that we can tap into it as Democrats and Democrat socialists.
Right. And not only that, Russ, how about all the money he gave to Iran, like $80 billion or something like that?
Yeah, it was a lot, but that was for hostages, although he says it wasn't. It had nothing to do with the hostages, but the hostages weren't released until the gold landed. And that gets covered up by the press. Press doesn't really push on it.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy, I gotta go.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. That was Danny. I think Gilbert called me and I didn't see it. I'm sorry, Gilbert. I'm going to call you back just in case. I don't want Gilbert calling me with hate mail. I got to make sure I keep my phone where it's visible. Because I turn the ringer off so it doesn't annoy me, and then I don't see it ring. Well, Gilbert must be back doing honeydews because he's not near the phone. All right. I tried, Gilbert. So Tom Beck was right. They let the encampment stay entrenched. Now, he says they should give them maybe 48 hours and go in there and push it out. Well, I wouldn't even give them 48 hours. Don't let them. I mean, when they start bringing in portable toilets and setting up food distribution and all that kind of stuff and setting up a little city, these liberal cities, they do that. They says, sometimes, people just have to protest. I guess they let it go. And then they get agitated when you dismantle it. They thought they could live there forever. The cities get involved. I mean, the cities enable this kind of crap. They do. It's an article I read about Trump being the president's, I mean, the America's most targeted leader ever. Most targeted, and I'm talking about targeted with violence ever. And he faced threats every few months. I didn't realize how many. I mean, we've been watching the news since 2016 and have known of quite a few. I didn't realize how many. This article says he's survived 3 major assassination attempts. True, we know about those. But there's nearly a dozen of other threat-related incidents over the past 2 years alone. A dozen? Didn't know. Overall, he's faced over 20 known threats since being in office in 2016. It goes through the comparisons here. Gerald R. Ford, the president, survived 2. But he's the only one that's had 2. Every other president that's had assassinations or assassination attempts has had 1. Trump has had 3. I'm talking major assassination attempts have been 3. Ford had 2. He was holding the record at one time. Not now. Andrew Jackson, Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Harry Truman, John F. Kennedy, Gerald R. Ford, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama all have had 1. And Lincoln, Garfield, McKinley, and Kennedy were killed. Oh, they had 4. We've had 4 presidents killed. I think Trump has commented on that before about he never knew the dangers. I mean, we've all known that we've had assassinations of presidents. But when you start putting a calculator to and say what percentage of presidents and stuff, I mean, the percentage is way too high. Keep in mind, there's been all these presidents have had attempts. 4 have actually been killed out of just 47. That's too many. That's like living in Chicago. Let me see. Since 2016, 7 known threat-related incidents occurred during president's first term. His first term. His 4 occurred during 2024 campaign, just a campaign, including 2 assassinations attempt. One president and his second presidency has already seen 8 additional incidents, including a 3rd assassination attempt. Yeah, the two assassination attempts was during the campaign. That was Butler, Pennsylvania, when they actually shot his ear because he turned his head at the right time, killed a spectator, critically injured 2 others. The other was at Thomas Matthew Crooks, and he's no, that was the Butler was Crooks. The other one was Ryan Wesley Ruth, that was in Florida golf course, and the Secret Service agent spotted him and actually took a shot at him while he was hiding in the bushes when he saw the rifle barrel come out. The rifle barrel was setting out or something. I guess he was resting with a rifle barrel visible, and the Secret Service agent just took a shot. The guy went running, and I guess a civilian tracked him and told him where he was. He got caught right away. The 3rd was the White House Correspondents' Dinner just within the last few months when, a guy ran through a checkpoint and was quickly apprehended. The Trump's first 3 security incidents unfolded during the 2016 campaign before he ever took office. A rally in Dayton, Ohio. Someone attempted to rush the stage to grab him and his microphone or something. British national attending a Trump campaign 3 months later in Vegas attempted to grab a police officer's gun from her holster. And he said he wanted Trump's autographs, what he said when he first got him. And then that was before trying to seize the weapon, and later admitted he intended to kill Trump. He got 12 months in prison. That's it, 12 months in prison. In November of that same year, Secret Service agents rushed Trump off the stage during a campaign rally in Reno, Nevada. An attendee there shouted gun. I guess the Secret Service doesn't play games with that. They rushed him off. I don't remember it. Austin Crides is the guy's name. They caught him. He's 33 years old. He brought a sign that said Republicans against Trump. Trump returned to the stage minutes later. I don't know what happened to him, though, the guy that did it. September of 2017, a man stole a forklift, drove it into Trump presidential motorcade, trying to run over the presidential limousine in North Dakota. That's the beast. The limousine's the beast. It's like a tank. I think it's heavier and stronger than the forklift, but it wouldn't have made any difference. It wouldn't have got in there. Gregory Lee Legang pleaded guilty to federal charges and was sentenced. He served time and 1 year of suspended release. 2018, never veteran in Utah, a ricin-laced letters sent to Trump's other officials. I remember that. It was all intercepted. William Clyde Allen III was charged with 5 federal counts and found incompetent to assist in his defense. 2020, Trump was abruptly escorted out of a briefing room during a televised news conference after Secret Service officers shot a man who threatened to kill the president near the White House. Suspect Marion Berryman, 51, of Maryland, was found unarmed and arrested on a charge of assaulting an officer. So if they arrested him, I guess he was shot, but not fatally wounded. 2020, September, another ricin letter was intercepted before reaching the White House. I don't think they ever open their own mail, guys. For you guys that want to send ricin, these guys don't open their own mail. In fact, I don't even know if they ever get it at all. Usually, they'll probably just get a picture of it. Send an email. The sender, Pascal Cecile Ferrier, a dual citizen of Canada and France, he admitted to the manufacture of ricin at his home in Canada, and he was sentenced to 262 months in prison. It's about 21 years, and then a lifetime of supervised relief. Well, they see him as real trouble. On the second presidential campaign, he had 2 assassination attempts, which we know about Butler. And November 24th, a second assassination attempt on Trump in September of 24. Justice Department disclosed another alleged Iranian murder for hire plot. And you hear about that, and that Iran has hired people to go murder the president. But Farhad Shakiri was accused of being an Iranian government asset, has been tasked with planning the assassination of Trump, according to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said in March of 26 of this year, that Shakiri had been killed in a U.S. military operation. And just a year and a half into his second presidency, Trump has faced 7 additional threat-related. Charlotte Correctional Institution, let me see, he was right. A federal court, after allegedly writing a letter to an official at the Charlotte Correctional Institution, claiming he had orchestrated the most daring presidential assassination this country's ever seen. So he put it in a letter, which is a good way to get noticed. Christopher Davis later admitted he wanted to kill Trump and was sentenced to 27 months. I think these presidents say things need to be longer. It's unbelievable there are this many people. And I blame, there's so much rhetoric coming from the politicians and others that is just ridiculous. It's just crazy. That spool up this hate, spool up this crap. A Texas man allegedly threatened Trump on social media. Stupid. Robert Herrera later sentenced to 2 years in prison. Yeah. Wow. The August of 25, Georgia man allegedly posted a comment on a TikTok live stream threatening to shoot Trump. Yuhan Russian Porter. So there's only one way to make America great, and that's putting a bullet in between Trump's eyes. Yeah, he was sentenced to 3 years in federal prisons. February 26, a man drove to secure perimeter Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach as another vehicle was exiting the property. You know what? Yeah, because there's a gate. So one exit, he tried to run in real quick. Yeah, fatally shot Austin Tucker. They're not going to take chances with that. April 26, officials unsealed a federal criminal complaint against Kentucky man accused of posting a series of political violent threats on Instagram. And the suspect, Santiago, threatened to cut Trump with a razor blade, feed his skin to a stray dog. That's just mean. Also threatened to kill the next member of law enforcement who interacted with him. Encouraging violence against ICE agents and posted comments saying, I'm filled with political violence. I don't know where that guy is. It doesn't say he's been arrested, but man, that guy needs to be off the streets. And June of 26, the terrorism conspiracy targeting Trump UFC event. We heard about that one. Well, there was 8 men. They were all indicted. They were gonna pilot these drones to fly explosive drones into the event, and that would cause an evacuation. And they knew the evacuation routes, and they had snipers up on the evacuation routes where they were going to assassinate high valued targets like secretaries and high end cabinet members and the Trump president. I don't think the president's route would have been that way. The route for the president probably would have been something to a bunker or something. But they all can't fit in the bunker. Authorities arrested a suspect who was allegedly photographing and recording security preparations ahead of a scheduled fundraising dinner at the Trump National Golf Course in Palo Verdes, California. Janine John Teo, 38, was found carrying a 16-round magazine loaded with ammunition, while investigators recovered the additional pistol and a fake security protection bag from the truck. So that was a rundown on real life assassination attempts on Trump. Now, Trump has made comments before that he has realized that only effective presidents get assassination attempts and assassinations. Something to be said about that, I think. Gilbert says, you sound like a slow version of the Chipmunks. I don't know if that's equipment or I need to check my voice. I don't know. Slow version of the Chipmunks. Crowded Russian beach descends into chaos after Ukrainian drone incident. Now, and the Ukrainian war with Russia has been going on for 4 years. And there's been a lot of accusations that the Russians have been targeting civilian targets since the start. They just sent them right into apartment buildings, schools, hospitals, it doesn't matter. Drones, missiles, artillery, whatever. Of course, it's always denied by Russia, and they always say we'd never do that, but video would show something different. Let me talk to Gilbert. What's up, man?
It's fixed. It's fixed. There for a while, for like last 20 minutes, you sounded like a slow version of the Chipmunks.
Wow.
In my end.
Okay. Was that my cadence, or was there a difference with the signal?
The video is like
the video.
The video.
Okay.
Yeah. I was going to say, Russ, how do you expect me to listen to your show when I can't understand a damn word you're saying?
I don't know. Oh, apparently we've been having problems today that has come out and cleared up. I think it's on the YouTube end of things because it seems to get better.
Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm not on YouTube. So.
Okay. Well, maybe it's affecting both. It may be on StreamYard. StreamYard is my organization that restreams everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be it. Like I said, I was listening to you, and all of a sudden, a slow version of the Chipmunks.
Some people may consider that an improvement, but I don't know.
Well, I was going to touch that myself.
Thank you, sir.
Later.
Bye. Mr. Gilbert. That's too bad. The sooner we get on the air, the better. But this attack has made front page news because it happened in Russia by the Ukrainians, which I find interesting. I didn't see that much of really front page news that on Russia blowing up civilians, but I mean, it's out there. They did put the news out there. Obviously, we've read it, but I was kind of shocked about this one. There were vacationers in a Russian Black Sea resort town. 7 people, including 4 children, killed. It injured dozens more. So, and I can't pronounce the name of the town. I'm not going to try. But the Russian mission in Geneva said and put out there on X that the bloody attack was carried out by a drone launched by Ukraine and is accusing Kyiv of targeting civilians. The governor of that region said the attack targeted civilian infrastructure, emergency and special services are working at the crash site. Now, my friend Dean Weingarten comes in on Tuesdays and Wednesdays now. He's been, and he started from the very beginning. He's ex-military himself and a historian buff. Says the first casualty of war is the truth, and I mean that's something that's been said by politicians for years. Is the truth is always. So don't trust either side completely. Verify everything, which safe, right way to go. He said what happened today, and this comes still from the Russia governor. What happened today is a targeted attack by Kyiv regime against civilians who have no connection to the military infrastructure. The cynical and inhumane terrorist attack against children cannot be justified. Well, Kovalenko, an officer with Ukraine's defense forces, tried to explain that the Russia account's not necessarily true. It's not true. He says the deaths were directly caused by Russian air defenses that intercepted the drone. So it's well known that right now, I mean, I think everybody knows that Ukraine has had a field day of sending drones into Russia and blowing up high value targets related to military. I mean, and they're probably joint use, like oil refineries, which gives them a shortage of gasoline and stuff like that, which affects civilians because the Russian military takes the oil, the gas first, and says, "Too bad, but you guys in Crimea are not going to get any more gas because we're having a shortage, and the war is much more important than the civilians." It's up to them, but and those are joint use, and they've been doing some power plants. A lot of buildings that support the war effort. Most recently, those buildings have included their Amazon. It's I forget the name of them, but something berries. I don't know. But it's basically a copy of what Amazon's distribution service is, which is these huge warehouses with spoken wheel type distribution, like Amazon, which is highly successful. Amazon's done a great job of doing that. And Ukraine's been blowing them up. Of course, they're huge buildings. What they do is they catch them on fire and they burn down. And many of them, I mean, they've been attacking them like crazy. Now, you would think those are civilian, which they are, kind of. But they've also been distributing for the military. That's how the military ships a lot of their goods, man. They're calling Amazon to do it. So I guess they found that out. So they're building it's willow berries or something like that. So they've been burning them down. I mean, these huge structures, hundreds of thousands of square feet, and just thousands of vendors in them and all this other stuff that's in it other than the military. And it's just causing havoc for everybody. Can you imagine if we were at war with a country and they started burning down all the Amazon distribution? A lot of people would just be up in arms, let alone, I think it's like 80,000 employees now that are displaced because the building they worked at is now ash and there's no place to go. And that organization cannot find additional warehousing. Warehousing exists and is open in Russia. Their economy's been hurt. There's some warehousing space available. They won't rent to them because they realize as soon as they do, they're a target. They're not going to do it. Well, so I'm just making a point that it's well known that these drones are flying all over Russia. What this officer from the Ukraine's defense force is saying, look, the target was not this beach. Russian air defenses shot that drone down over people that were lying on the beach. And they put out a video. The video was taken there, I guess, by probably Russians who were videoing their day when you could hear the gunfire. Now, the drone doesn't do gunfire. The gunfire that you heard was to shoot the drone down. They shot that drone up, and that drone was destroyed in the air, fell onto the beach, and caused a fireball explosion. That sounds very reasonable. I mean, sounds like very much reality, a sad reality, a horrible reality. But it sounds like, they're at war. And the Russians reports also found that several of the deaths were caused by falling drone debris. They even write it down. It was falling drone debris, not targeted, like the governor said. And of course, that's that misinformation that comes out. It happened. The incident happened. The Ukrainian Defense Force officer said that Ukrainian weapons uses its weapons against Russian military industrial infrastructure to affect Moscow's ability to finance the war. And he accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of creating an illusion that Russia would remain safe from the war by downplaying daily explosions of falling debris, limiting air raid warnings, and positioning air defenses near populated areas such as the Black Sea resort. Putin deliberately killed these people because he had not started the war and struck Ukraine, they would be alive. It was Putin's air defenses who killed these Russians. His decisions in response to their decision to launch a chain of death for Russians, I think that's more reality that goes on. Is that this that's more reality than saying that Ukrainian targeted civilians, because they haven't ever done it. And you see, Sandy just wrote me an article, just sent me an article. It says Donald Trump won the Iranian war. Of course, it's not over yet. But I guess they're already saying that he won. And I like this, the way it starts. It says, we're about to see the biggest reshaping of the Middle East since Moses led the Jews out of Egypt. That's a great image. The critics and questioners of Trump's tug of war with the left of the Iran regime seem obtuse to the prophetic truth that the region will never be the same again in a good way. I think all that's potentially true. I mean, it's not over yet. And I hate to say it, but it has made changes already. Whether or not they're lasting is who knows, but we've had opportunities to work with the other neighbors that are also Muslim countries. And we've been working with them more than we've been working with Europe. Europe has refused us. And I can't read all this whole thing right now, but I don't know what the ending's going to be, but I would say, yes, he's already changed things. And it's been known for some time that Saudi Arabia, the United Emirates, and others, they don't want war. They want peace. They want business. They built resort areas, not weapons factories. Yeah, they're investing in other technologies, not weapons factories. They're investing in future economic issues instead of weapons factories. Iran's been doing weapons factories and threatening everybody for 47 years and killing Americans for 47 years. And I think the neighbors are tired of it too. They are tired of it. Let me see. This is something Trump said Wednesday, speaking of Iran, that he sought talks after U.S. prepared major military strike. And it's been going on for 4 months. This military strike talks. It seems like a kabuki dance or something, a kabuki dance. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's we want it to end. I know it's not. I know that every time he strikes, it's stepping it up. I was listening to Jack Keane this morning, general retired, that was saying that the 4 months that we've been there, the targets and the potential targets and the information as to where stores of that they still have stores of missiles or stores of drones or stores of ammunition are more known to us, and the target list is bigger now. And Trump is ready to attack again, and it would be more brutal and more infrastructure, more bridges and things, or transportation in the way that they move things around and able to make war. All that's more known. He believes, and they asked him, General King, whether this pause in the talks that are going on right now will result in anything, and he was like, well, unfortunately, no, I don't. He agrees that Trump has to do it, but he thinks there's going to be another big attack. I mean, it's not stopped. Trump said the U.S. was set for and this was just Wednesday, set for the biggest attack since World War II before Iranian officials reached out to request talks. Which they did, and they denied that they talked to Trump at all. They're saying, we're not talking to the U.S. at all. A top IRGC, that's Iranian Revolutionary Guard, said Wednesday that they would continue working on nuclear weapons. Now, last year and years before that, we're not working, we're not doing it, we're not doing nuclear weapons. Of course, it's been lies forever from this regime. You can't tell. Now they're saying that we're going to continue it. They're just flat out saying it. And he says, as long as the United States and Israel possesses nuclear weapons, we will continue working on them for our national security. If they disarm, we'll disarm. And it's the first time I've ever heard that's Falati. He's the commander-in-chief of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. He's the guy. If they disarm, we'll disarm. That's their answer. If the United States and Israel just take away nuclear, we'll stop working on it. I wouldn't believe him on that either. Netanyahu responded to it by vowing that Israel will continue preventing Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons with or without diplomatic agreements. Today, we heard the commander of the Revolutionary Guard, Falati, explicitly declare Iran's intention to continue developing nuclear weapons. Continue, as he put it. Well, as Prime Minister of Israel, I am too determined to continue preventing Iran from possessing nuclear weapons. Netanyahu praised Donald Trump as Israel's greatest friend in the White House, expressed appreciation for the two countries' joint efforts against Iran's nuclear ambitions. Israel's existence is not subject to negotiation. With an agreement or without an agreement, I am determined, we are all determined to do whatever's necessary to ensure our security and our future. I don't think that's I don't think you have to read into what he's saying. I think it's pretty plain. Iran or the U.S. will have to back down to make Hormuz a deal happen, is the article headline here. But one thing's becoming pretty clear in these negotiations, or what they're calling negotiations. As much as Iran understands what Trump says, Trump has two big keys up front. Both those keys are, between the two of them, is no nuclear ever. The second is Hormuz is open with no, just open to national like it's always been. And it's like not negotiable, those two. Well, lately the talk between Iran and Oman, apparently that's what Iran says. He's talking with Oman. They're not talking to the United States. And that's the country on the other side of the strait. The strait's 22 miles, and there's a country on each side. Iran, obviously, is the one that militarized it. But they want to negotiate with their neighbor, saying, well, the two of us could profit from this. And they came up with some deal where going into the strait, you would go through Iranian territorial waters, and coming out of the strait, you would go through Oman's territorial waters, and both could charge, for that opportunity, a toll of some kind. And I guess what that would do is say, okay, look, that international waterway that's in the middle would be not used. They're going to militarize it or bomb it or mine it or something. I don't really know what the plan is, but That's what we're hearing from them. Well, this article says they both say they're nearing the end of negotiations on a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, but both sides have contradictory power over the region. Donald Trump's blockade on Iranian ports remains in effect and is removable, may be the key to any deal with Iran, which that's what Iran wants. Let the United States to stop blocking them from commerce. Tehran, however, has asserted that the strait will never, ever again return to pre-war status. As much pain as they've endured, it's not enough pain yet. And Jack Keane, General Jack Keane, says the same. It's not enough. He doesn't believe so. He believes they're not ready to negotiate. And you hear many commentators say that Iran's winning this because the bar for them winning is that they still exist, that they're still speaking, they're still breathing air. That's their winning. They look at it totally different than we do. It's not on the same page. And so they're winning. The United States is not winning because our whole winning is getting the straits open, getting the nuclear conversation closed and done, and getting out of there, going home. That's our winning. Iran's not letting us win because they're still breathing, and they're still breathing nonsense. And that's a low bar. It's very easy for them. It doesn't take a lot of equipment and tools. How do you negotiate with that? I mean, they've been handed unimaginable destruction. I mean, destruction to their country so far. I mean, so far has been mind blowing. If it was to happen to our country, if somebody come into our country and have wiped out 80% of all planes, and the few planes that are left are not flyable. You can't fly them; they'd be shot down. If they bombed all our ports of entry and they bombed our ability to export and import, they blockade us, and then they bomb some bridges and all our military sites and storage sites of military equipment that they can find. Would we say we're winning? No, we wouldn't say they're winning. Is because we look at things differently. Iran says they're winning. We're getting the attention of the U.S. And so what? We've lost 90% of our capacity. So what? We've lost the ability to build. As far as we know, we've targeted a lot of the construction areas, the areas where they manufacturing of weapons. So what? We'll build them back, and we're still breathing. They're winning based on their own interpretation of winning, which is tough. Unlike Venezuela. Venezuela, they were faced with the same destruction as Iran, and they said, we don't want that kind of pain. We would rather work with you on commerce, and we make money from oil, and we increase our ability to manage business, at least for now. We don't know where it's going to end up, but for now. I mean, the people in charge in Venezuela are still socialist and communist. They're not, free market capitalists at this point, although they're letting that happen or letting that engage right now. And they're selling more oil, and I imagine there's more money flowing and hopefully more food and stuff for the people, I would think. Iran says it's in its final stages of negotiating a deal with Oman to reopen the strait. Well, and that's what I just talked about. The final negotiation is you take part of it, I take part of it. Nobody uses the international part, the open part, and we can control and control commerce and all that. And what would the end be to that in the long run? I mean, let's say that happened, that there was a toll. People would stop using it. There would be alternatives built. Which is Saudi Arabia's already got a lot. I mean, a lot of them already have some alternatives. Just there are alternatives in Saudi Arabia, particularly. They can't do 100% of their commerce on the other coast, even though they pipeline a lot of it over there. They can't. They don't have the pipelines big enough to handle all that oil and stuff. But little by little, if they started making that straight, with these big tolls and all that stuff, people would just pipeline around it. They wouldn't use it. Tennessee. Let me take a break. I've got someone want to talk about Tennessee on Trump's endorsement in a Tennessee race, but I have to take a break, and we will be right back. Russ Clark back with you. It's already 8:34 here at Mortgage One Studios. Probably the same at your house. See, okay, we got the picture back. Tennessee. Trump has endorsed House ally, which I found interesting. This article. The voters in Tennessee's 5th congressional districts are headed to the polls, which they've already done, by the way. Trump-backed Andy Ogles, Republican out of Tennessee, and Republican Charlie Hatcher, former state agriculture minister, who Hatcher got an endorsement from the governor, Bill Lee, on Tuesday, right? And the governor, or at least Hatcher, is let me see. Ogles is one of Trump's most vocal allies in Congress, seeking a third term. He's already incumbent, seeking a third term. Hatcher is the state's former agricultural commissioner under Lee. I guess they're friends. The Lee and Hatcher, Governors Lee. He says, I'm not really surprised at all. They're friends. Ogles said of Lee's endorsement. And so he wasn't too bothered by it. He said the golden endorsement that everyone wants is that of President Trump's, which I have. And I think Trump has really done a good job of making sure that he's choosing conservatives in races, which is also why I have the endorsement of House Speaker Mike Johnson. And, the conservative steward, House Judiciary Committee Chair Jim Jordan has also endorsed me. And so you just go down the list of my endorsements. It's that of conservatives, whereas my opponent has less conservative folks, shall we say, endorsing him. Now, in that district in Tennessee, Trump won by double digits. He defeated Kamala Harris by 18 points, roughly. So his endorsement is going to mean a lot, particularly for an incumbent. And Ogles still faced a tough race this year with the Clean Energy Super PAC spending more than $1 million to unseat him. I don't know what the Clean Energy Super PAC is. It's got to be some kind of green thing. The Super PAC, the Invest in Tomorrow Coalition, is a $1.3 million against Ogles in the favor of Hatcher. And it has a billionaire, Chris Larson, as a top donor who also donated to the Harris campaign. Ogles is a member of the ultra-conservative House Freedom Caucus. Members have built a reputation of being thorns in the side of House GOP leaders, which sometimes the Freedom Caucus gets that because they kind of push for the more conservative alternative. And leaders like Mike Johnson have at times, seen them as a pain. Although Johnson endorses him, so Johnson spoke in support of Oakley's just before the election and all. Johnson says, "I think everybody who's listening to our voices tonight understand we have a fateful midterm election coming up. We have to keep and maintain and grow the Republican majority in the House. Andy Oakley is a part of that majority." The thing that was, this article said that Trump's endorsements colliding and everything, like there's a trouble there. The thing's over. I think Oakley's won by like 70 or 80% in the district as the incumbent and stuff, even though he had all that money against him, $1.3 million, coming from a green thing. Now, Lee, the governor, who's a Republican, I think Lee's a governor, Governor Lee, Bill Lee. Hatcher thanked Lee for his endorsement on Facebook. "Congress, I will work hard to serve people to get the job done by pursuing sensible problem-solving solutions. I will defend all conservative values, support President Trump's agenda." So even Hatcher, fighting against the Trump-endorsed guy, embraces Trump, and he's endorsed by Lee. Lee said in a video that he and Hatcher have been friends for 25 years, and he stood with President Trump since day one, touting him as a conservative with strong right-wing values. But Trump denounced Lee as a rhino in 24. Trump endorsed somebody in 24, Republican Bobby Hashbarger, for state senate over a Lee-backed incumbent, and Harberger won. The Trump endorsed Republican won, and Trump says, "Yeah, Lee's a rhino." But just to show you how much gravitas and power that Trump has, he calls the governor a rhino. The governor still supports Trump. And I say supports Trump. It's about Trump's values and what he stands for, and his the things that he's promoting, policies and stuff like that, as much as anything. Okay, I got a political alert from my fact checker, Edward Garrity, which I appreciate. And we talked about Bill Cassidy being a non-committal on whether he's going to vote to have the next Attorney General, Tom Blanche, support for Tom Blanche as the next Attorney General. But apparently he just said today that he will support Tom Blanche's nomination, which should theoretically make that happen today. I think making it happen today means he gets 50% and then a tiebreaker, because we've got enough negatives, and Mitch McConnell's out at home. I mean, he's not coming in. He says I will vote for Blanche. Mr. Blanche is not perfect, and he will tell you this, but choice is not between perfection and Mr. Blanche. It's between Mr. Blanche and another acting attorney general who may not run the department effectively under President Trump, and who indeed may not be as good as Mr. Blanche, said Cassidy. So he doesn't like Trump and doesn't like either one of his choices. I don't know who the next person would be. He would have to rotate to another acting if he doesn't get Blanche through. So Cassidy has given in and said, it's not going to make any difference. I'm not going to like the guy, and this guy may be better than the other guy I don't like. It's a sad situation to do that. So he waited to the last minute to do that. And thank you, Edward, for letting me know that. I didn't pick up on that while I'm on air. That would be good. That would just put one battle behind Trump, and I obviously Trump's opponents want him to have as many battles and less success that they can dole out to him. Let me talk about Kimberly Clark. Yeah, that's a familiar name. I think they're just manufacturing. Let's see, Kimberly Clark. So it is. So it is manufacturing. It's just paper goods and stuff like that for Kimberly Gods. I don't know what they're all famous for. A global personal care and consumer good corporation that created household names like Kleenex, Huggies, and Kotex, 1972. So it's all hygiene products and stuff, disposable diapers, baby wipes. Yeah, so they're big business, toilet paper. Yeah. So Kimberly Clark, and I guess it's a stable, embraced company, and they're building $100 million warehouse or facility here in Yuma, Arizona. The mayor talked about this the other day, Mayor Doug Nichols. He said he can't use Kimberly Clark by name, but they're coming to Yuma. Well, there's newspaper articles out on it now and everything. It's all open. And I think it was at the time, but for many months he wasn't allowed to say anything. That's a lot of the agreements, because it could sour a deal if you're working out a deal with an organization coming to Yuma. They don't want the competitors to know, and they don't want people in Yuma to know, because they may be trying to buy some property or something in Yuma, and once they realize it's a successful company, the price goes up. Does that make sense? So you got to keep it quiet, because these people all want the best deals they can get. Well, the Greater Yuma Economic Development Corporation, of course, they were involved in this one, and that's separate from the city. It's a partnership with the city. The city helps with some of the expenses, and the city has members on its board, just like the county supervisor. I was on the board for the Economic Development Corporation for a while, and they do have a lot of do not disclose agreements when you start working with corporations and stuff. Well, this could be a 50,000 square foot pilot facility. What pilot means to me is that, look, we're going to put a footprint here, and see how it works, and then that'll give opportunity for expansion. It's going to create 50 full-time jobs, and that's after construction. You're not going to construct it with 50. I mean, it's going to be more than that. It's already underway, I understand. I don't know exactly where it's located, but it doesn't say here. Greg Levon, he is the president of Greater Yuma Economic Development Corporation. He's been there for quite a while. He was there before he was president. This monumental announcement reflects the strength of Greater Yuma's competitive manufacturing advantages and the value of strong regional partnerships. Our strategic location with direct access to major domestic, international markets, a reliable energy supply, and an abundant workforce provide the foundations for companies like Kimberly Clark to succeed. We honor that Kimberly Clark has chosen Greater Yuma for significant investments and are committed to supporting the company's long-term success. Michael Todd is the vice president and managing director of Kimberly Clark. He said Yuma offers a unique combination of agricultural expertise, natural resources, and a talent that made it ideal for locations for our alternative natural fiber facility. Natural fiber is the key there, that it's going to be agricultural fiber. So it's going to be, you see, Michael Todd says this investment reflects our commitment to exploring rapidly renewable fiber resources that have the potential to enhance the future of our products. Just as importantly, it represents the opportunity to invest in a community that shares our spirit of innovation and stewardship. We appreciate the continued partnership of the City of Yuma, Greater Yuma Economic Development Corporation, the Arizona Commerce Authority, local growers, and community stakeholders. And we're looking forward to building on that collaboration as we support Greater Yuma's ongoing growth and success. So That says that this is an agricultural product that is going to be used for whatever products they're putting out. And this is just $100 million investment as a pilot program to see how it works. It can expand beyond there. So let's treat them well. Kimberly Clark's decision to establish a new alternative natural fiber pilot facility in Yuma is a tremendous win for Arizona. That's Sandra Watson that said that. She's the president and CEO of Arizona Commerce Authority. This investment reflects not only the strength of Yuma County's advanced manufacturing and agricultural assets, but also Arizona's growing leadership in sustainable industry. We're proud to partner with GYDC and the city of Yuma to support Kimberly Clark as they expand their innovative, sustainability-focused operations in our state. Now, I imagine most of Sandra's business is all going to be in the Phoenix and Tucson area, so it's nice that she gets out to Yuma. We welcome Kimberly Clark. This investment is a perfect example of building upon our historical and strong agricultural industry while developing our future innovation industries. It's Mayor Nichols that threw that in there. Okay, the fibers are going to use is from Hesperola. Hesperoli? I don't know what that is. Hesperoli. It's a low water use and rapidly renewable plant native to Arizona and elsewhere in the Southwest. It's gonna use that. It's sounds like a weed, but it has a potential to be used in the company's future hygiene products. And so they're going to use the fibers from that. Which they emphasize low water use, unlike cotton. I guess cotton uses a lot of water. That's fiber they use, and that's blue jeans, I guess, and other cotton products. There's a lot of cotton products, cotton shirts, all kinds of stuff. It's expected to be complete in operation in 2027, so just next year. The Yuma pilot facilities focus on natural fibers lines with Kimberly Clark's global sustainability goals. Well, what else? I mean, isn't everything that Kimberly Clark builds is a renewable? I mean, even if it's pulp from trees or other plants, I would think. I mean, they're not making stuff. Well, maybe they make stuff out of petroleum products. Maybe they don't see that as renewable. So maybe a lot of it is renewable. I mean, so they're leaning on renewable resources and advanced manufacturing. They like Arizona, that's year-round agricultural production, and its proximity to California and Mexican markets and the transportation networks. We got highways running through here. Available industrial land, and it is an ideal location for agricultural-related operations. Which, yeah, I'm sure agriculture area says, bring it on. Let's do business. Here's an opportunity to make $30,000. The FBI is offering it to solve a Yuma murder from 1996. You'll know the name though. It was a 10-year-old girl that was murdered in Yuma in 1996. It's been unsolved. It's Amberly Ann Mendoza. And we know the name because Amberly's place was built in Yuma because of this horrific murder. And Amberly Mendoza, and I think a lot of people are going to know the story because of Amberly's place, and I've visited Amberly's place many times. They were built after the murder of Amberly, as for obvious reasons, to help with these kinds of situations and situations of crimes, abuse, and all kinds of things. And Amberly's has been as such a success for our community. Many communities have come and taken a look and see if they could duplicate a lot of the things that Amberly's place is doing, particularly for abuse cases and stuff like that. But in March 1996, in a home on the 1700 block of West 24th Lane. Amberly Mendoza was found dead in her bedroom. And the attack happened sometime between 11:30 p.m. on March 8th and 10:45 a.m. on March 9th, the next morning. And that's the police department's timeline that after all the investigation that they've done. She died from suffocation and was sexually assaulted in her bedroom. Entry through a bedroom window. They found a screen on her first floor bedroom had been removed. No other signs of forced entry were found in the home at the time at all, and they just know she went to bed, went to sleep following a family gathering earlier that evening, and according to a podcast, Last Seen Alive, which was the evidence was that's the last time she was seen alive, is that evening. So now the FBI is offering a $30,000 push for new leads, and I guess I'm kind of surprised when I read this. Like, why now? What's going on now that the FBI feels it's worth stirring these memories up and worth stirring this up to because they want to solve this one. Maybe there's something that's come up that makes them think that that's capable right now, and that would be a neat thing to find this and to find that. They're offering it for information, any information leading to an arrest and conviction in this death. If you have any, you can call several numbers here. Yuma Police, 928-783-4424. Or anonymously, you can always do the anonymous, so that's 78 crime. That's 928-782-7463. And that's anonymous, but you can still get the reward. And they do that by codes. They give you a code, okay, a number or code or whatever. And if your information pans out and you're able to help lead the police officers to arrest and conviction, you can call back and collect your $30,000 they'll set up a cash drop off at a bank where you just use the code to receive it. The case is logged as case 1996-3658. Or you can go directly to the FBI hotline in Phoenix, 623-466-1999. It doesn't say so, but I bet you could even call the sheriff's department and get some attention. I think they'll answer the phone everywhere for this. And this goes on to talk about the legacy of Amberly's place. And it says that this murder reshaped how Yuma protects vulnerable victims. In 1999, local law enforcement community leaders, they opened Amberly's place as an advocacy center named in her memory. The center now assists, and it was Sunrise Optimist Club of Yuma apparently also helped. I didn't know that, but they were engaged in putting this together. They assist roughly 3,000 victims of child abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault each year, which is horrific. And I've had a lot of years spending time with Amberly's place, with fundraisers and just visiting and looking at new facilities and engaging, doing commercials and things. I know the annual barbecue out at Mission Fisher's Landing. I was trying to think Fisher's Landing. Annual barbecue, rib cook-off and stuff like that. I've emceed that for years and gone out there to support the fundraiser for Amberly's place. Anything I can do to advertise for it or to discuss it each year has always been a personal joy for me to help an organization like that in the ways I can help. I'm not a police officer, but I can help be a voice and help with promote some of the fundraising activities, which I do. Just so you know, Arizona has no statute of limitations for homicide or violent sexual assault under Arizona revised statutes 13107. So even though it's 30 years old, It doesn't matter. I've been in Yuma longer than 30 years now. It's the longest place I've ever lived anywhere in my life. I've been Air Force brat all my life and moved around. And then I was corporate Napa, a genuine parts company, and moved around. So staying in one place for more than 30 years is kind of amazing to me and fulfilling all at the same time. It was great to raise a family in Yuma versus out on the road in a suitcase. And that's what military, every 3 years, you pack them up, say goodbye to your new friends. We got new friends somewhere. It's a different lifestyle. And I was anxious to settle down, but this happened after I moved to Yuma, so I was aware of it at the time and was able to see Amberley's Place as it first started. Between 1980 and 2024, Arizona recorded 18,490 homicides. It just seems like so many. But a clearance rate of 64%. And I don't know, is that yeah, I don't know if that's a good percentage or a bad percentage, but 6,695 murders unsolved in a state, now in the state. Nationally, homicide clearance rates have slid from more than 80% in 1965 to 52% in 2022. Wait a minute, that's 6,600 is just in Arizona. I'm sorry. I mean, that is in Arizona, state of Arizona. The national, more than 200,000 unsolved since 1980. Wow. Now Yuma alone, police are tracking 14 unresolved homicides dating back to the mid 1980s. 14 just in Yuma of that time that they're looking back at. So they've got quite a few, but maybe there's something on this Amberley's Place. So if you have anything they hadn't thought of yet or anything, any kind of like clue or something, give them a call. It would be neat to see them pay that $30,000 because that means somebody would have to pay for that horrible crime of taking that Amberley at a very young age. I'm out of time, so I'm going to take the weekend off. Probably, I might come in here Sunday and do some rearranging of furniture and stuff. But other than that, I will see you on Monday morning. Thank you for listening. This is Mortgage One Studios. I'm Russ Clark.